はちょっとなんかこううまく馴染んでほしいなと思って。
Going alive in 11 minutes, but guess what? I'm gonna surprise you.
間違いなく偉いし。
And we are live 10 minutes early. No one was expecting that. Expect the LEO Inquisition. Let's pop out chat. Let's see how you guys. Oh, you guys are all talking a lot. Let me check in on you guys. Blinkster, good to see you. Glad to have you. Ray, good to see you. Have you? I don't think quite understand the way time works. Of course, Rory, good to see you. Glad to have you. Demins, good to see you. Glad to have you. Demins, I've got good news for you. Jade, good to see you. Glad to have you. Roria, it's good to see you again. Hydra, good to see you, glad to have you. Who, anyone else? Sarah, good to see you, glad to have you. Willow, good to see you, glad to have you. Hey, everybody. Hello. How's everybody doing? I have no idea what's coming in 6.2, barely done it before. We've got the Further Adventures of Hildebrand, the Relics, the Ass Savage. We have Facility Subterrane. We have the Tribal Quests. Those are the things I can think of. Jump scared mid black for blood. Chocolate a lot. Wait, chocolate? Well, thank you. Coffee will save me. All hail coffee. I've got some Coke. Yes, we will be doing Ass Savage as well as Savage Ass. So yeah, with 10 minutes before we continue, I'm gonna turn down the volume. You guys are gonna have to let me know how the volume is because I may have to turn it down so I can talk over it with the translations. But I'm gonna go over some of the see if there's any information that's been come out yet. We've got Foxconn as here. Let's pull up this for a little bit. Let me see. Let me make sure that OBS is up with the. Yeah. Okay. So we've got Foxconn as one of the Hummingway, or Loporits. Sorry. So technically what they're called. And that is Nightmare Fuel. I'm so high on caffeine, my eyes are having trouble just blinking. Guys, we haven't even started yet. I heard my name in good news, which is not something I hear often. Demins, give me a second and I'll find it. All hail the coffee gods. Let's just say we've got an emote coming up. That's coming up real soon. And it's getting finalized at the moment. The gay bulge emote. The gay bulge emote is on its way. Baphomet, good to see you, glad to have you. I need something other than the water to stay up. I'm in bed watching this, it's so comfortable. AC, good to see you, glad to have you. Have you considered getting out of the warm, comfy bed and just drinking something with a large amount of caffeine? Foxconn is my sleep paralysis demon feet. His stand dripped out Masayoshi Soken. Hydra, like, I agree with all of you guys. It is Nightmare Fuel. We got 8 more minutes. In the meantime, there was some possibly interesting information that I saw. Let me pop up. That was them all talking. Oda, that's Ishikawa. Ishikawa, she wrote Shadowbringers, Oda, and that's Oda. He's the lore guy. He also does scenario stuff for, she wrote Endwalker and Shadowbringers. Apparently, someone said she wrote Stormblood. I don't know if that's true, though. Bolg, eh? Yeah. Definitely having nightmares from Hummingway. Bolg. Because it's a gay bulge. Foxconn, but yeah, okay, let's see. Loporit naming rule is that a designation has to be include-ing before way. So cook-ing way. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, that makes sense. I always wondered why, some of the names I was wondering about, but yeah, it's always blanking way. Scheduled for today's program. Staff members comment that there's a little scary to stand so close besides Foxconn. The stream is also to see how much the Zodiac weapon quests have been made easy to do since the inception as well. I mean, the Zodiac weapons still fucking suck, but they're definitely a lot easier. The producer live letter will not touch on patch 6.3 info because it's too early, but will address a lot of issues given by the players, so Yoshi-P will delve very deep into this. The second half will talk about the scenario team and their role and their task for the game. It's quite detailed, so if you're interested in the field, do join the stream later on. Looks like they're going to be hiring, that sounds like. The next segment will have Soken and the sound team, not everyone from the sound team, appear to give some quiz variety. Segment will touch on Eorzean Cafe. Next live Q&A where the devs will get there to play games. The last segment will cover Yoshi-P's discussion with the father of Final Fantasy, Hironobu Sakaguchi. The last day of discussion, like, I mean, the fact he's facing a legend he's used to now. Has been a avid player of the game as well, definitely Savage and whatnot. He's very active now. Apparently, Sakaguchi is doing Savage right now. Asking Yoshi-P is going to be. CEO of Square Enix, Yusuke Matsuda. Did Yusuke Matsuda end up in Nier? Is he one of the bosses for Nier? I forget. Nier Automata is a wild game. Final Fantasy XIV has reached the milestone of 27 million registered users. Holy shit. Wait, this is a 14-hour stream. Oh dear. Well, don't worry, AC. We're probably mainly only going to be doing the live letter. We've got 5 minutes till it starts. Randomly, YouTube decided to take my stream from set 1080 60 to 4P. What? Yeah, it does that sometimes. It's weird about it. I recall someone here saying she wrote the Doma half of Stormblood. That would explain it. Going my way is good lopper. That also that explains a lot about that narrative. I think she did the Azim Step section for Stormblood. Yeah, I'll be interested if you guys find any more on that. That's Stormblood and who wrote it and when and how is the one thing I've never found good information on. My brain went into fucking way. My tired mind is apparently horny. It's that kind of night, Aurora. Aubrey, good to see you. Glad to have you. Happy live letter. I've actually been keeping up on that. He cleared the full Asphodelos tier. Nice. I wonder how many of those 27 million are active. Probably no more than 2. 2 million active users, I would assume. And especially right now, I wouldn't be surprised if it was even under 2 million. With it being a relative lull, but I would guess somewhere around 2 million. 27 million is a good amount for an army of light. Just make it one of the biggest armies of all time. This is pretty much chit chat about relationships between CEO and Yoshi-P. Nothing much either. Doesn't seem like there was a whole lot there. Okay. So we've got about 4 minutes until it's supposed to start. Oh, they're doing the relic stuff. Okay, I see. Zenus? Zenisu? Oh, I see. These are the steps. These are the steps for doing the relic. So this is like getting the relic. This is, okay, the Atma step. Okay, this is them going through the progress steps for getting the ARR relic items. China's active armed forces are just 2 million. Yeah, I mean, like that's yeah, like the most armed forces are not nearly as big as I think most people think. The legions combined couldn't fight us all off. It's true. Wow, some people just were awoken by this and couldn't keep. Hydra, I think a little bit of some of the community members have been a little horny on main. I think it's the weather of the cold weather coming on and getting to people. But you know, we make do with what we got. Are there going to be monk kettle weapons again? It's possible. I mean, when you think about how humorous Godbert would probably is like to be, I don't know if I want. So like, if I'd be okay if like one stage of the relics was all joke weapons, like all joke skins. But I feel like I definitely want some part of it to be like funny. Or at the least, if they do joke skins, make it so that each stage is its own joke. So like, there's like a huge amount of variety in it. Then there's those of us who are just constantly horny on me. Demands, I'm giving you your gay bulge. What do you want from me? I'm paying you. I'm paying money so that you can have a complete joke of an emote that will be used all of like 4 times. We're getting a ton of umbrella weapons regardless, at least. Well, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of like stuff like that showed up in the what is it called? The contest weapons. Sloppy! Actually, let's pull up those contest weapons. FFXIV contest weapons. Did they ever release the Newlith and the Scythe designs, Reaper designs? Because I know that they had a second competition for those. But if you've never seen them, these are the winners. Like, oh, I would make a glam just around the Paladin sword, because this is just one of the most gorgeous things I've ever goddamn seen in my life. But then you've got like the ladle and shield, so like you got the serious and the joke. This just looks like a Monster Hunter weapon, and I'm here for it. Warrior, Dark Knight. Honestly, for some reason, this strikes me as something from Adventure Quest. Honestly, neither of the Dark Knight weapons are super my alley, but I think they're both a great look, and I think I know a lot of people would love this Sakura look. I do like most of the Gunbreaker. I like Gunbreaker proportions are always just really weird because of how chunky that midsection is. When you think about balancing, it's just like the balance of a gun, gunblade is just nightmarish. Got the monk weapons. Who doesn't want to punch with cute little sharks?
だとしたら光栄ですね。
Cute.
嬉しいよ
And
ね
then also cute. You're gonna see a lot of Lalafell wearing that whenever they put it in the game.
あ、業務連絡でございますが、
Ninja daggers, like cooking
準備が
daggers,
整いました
and
の
then
で、
like
キャプテン
eating
と
utensils.
タイミングがいいときに。
リムケの準備が整ったってい
You
うのが
got
さだね
katana, cool katana, umbrella Casa
ご用意さ
katana.
せていただきました。
Got Casa katana going on. Cute bows. Oh, hey, there's a nutkin humping the bow. I mean, like, what else could you want? I mean, it must be a Thancred bow. Machinist, cool, like porcelain style gun. It looks like. This looks dumb. I'm gonna be honest. It's cute, and a lot of people are gonna love it, especially like with wedding dresses and stuff. But this is dumb to me. But I can totally see why it would be good for others. Dancer. Oh, I love these. These are gorgeous. Although they're a little bladey. They almost look like they could be a ninja weapon. Oh, hey, we're starting. Kadoo, good to see you. Glad to have you. Check the OED. Pudding doesn't come from the verb, so it's if pudding way is okay, then it seems like loperate can be any ing, not just a verb form. Also, lolly, I'm new here, ho. Well, good to have you. And yeah, that's a good point. Okay, you guys are gonna have to let me know if you need me to turn down their volume or turn it up, because I will be reading the translations as they come. Yeah, me too, Hydra. Now the contest is passed. Can tell the designs of I intend for the contest Sage Reaper round. No, he's gonna be in costume the whole time. Yes, he is. You're all gonna be suffering nightmares. Baphomet, good to see you, glad to have you. This is Foxconn, who often dresses up in costumes for these live letters. I think last time, was he the Serpent of Ronka? Chris, good to see you, glad to have you. Okay, let me move this over here so I can talk to you guys. Yoshi-P says he's having a bit of a hard time looking to the left of him, because who would not want to not look at that nightmare? It is very cursed, agreed. I will be periodically giving you updates on exactly what they're saying, so if you want to follow along yourself, you're welcome to. But Foxton, we'll be reviewing patch 6.2 in the first half and discussing the upcoming 6.25 patch. So they're going to be talking about 6.2 designs and stuff and like some of the like controversies, and then they will be moving into 6.25. Which, if you don't know, we've got Hildebrand, Relic Weapons, the Tribal Quests, and our first Criterion dungeon, Silly Subterrane, and Ass Savage as well. Another Silly Subterrane. They knew what they were doing. Green Caps, good to see you, glad to have you. He was a beaver last time. Oh, he was a beaver? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. I don't know why I thought he was Serpent of Ronka. I guess it makes sense. Would have made sense. I completely understand Yoshi-P. Again, let me know if there's sound problems.
まあそこは本当申し訳なかったです。次また頑張ります。はい。でそれ以外でいただいたフィードバック。そうです。いろんな話題がありましたので、いくつかカテゴリー分けして。
They're talking about the like the more serious stuff they need to review and go through about like some of the people's like conflicting feelings about 6.2. I believe that's what I caught. We'll see when the translations update.
はい。それではパワーポイントお願いします。
Sometimes they just don't write anything if there's not anything of particular importance. Storm's Crown, the trial of 6.X. And what's interesting about it too is that it's integrated into the main story for the first time. Well, first time? I think so. I mean, a Realm Reborn's a little weird. No, because a Realm Reborn technically does that. No, Realm Reborn did that. So yeah, since first time would have been a Realm Reborn. But you got Warring Triad in 3, you got Warring 4 Lords in 4, you got Weapons in 5, so. Can't wait for Hildy, Manda Relic. Yeah, B2 Baphomet. Is it Hildebrand involved specifically or Godbert and Geralt? It's Godbert and Geralt, to be fair. But we'll see whether or not Hildebrand makes an appearance, seeing as he's in the first right now. First, a little review of Storm's Crown.
しすぎじゃないみたいな不安が出るかなと思っていたのと、そのまあこの先をやっぱり予想して楽しむっていうことも考えると、まあトレーラーでねスカルミリオネさんがなんか生きってるシーンがあると、ああまあ今回はここかという感じ。
That is a Loperate, my friend.
まあその次のパッチでまた次のが来るのかなみたいな。
AC, why didn't you tell people in the Discord? We'll run Delibram with you. Just let people know you need to do it.
っていうのもあって、
We can do Deliberum as a like a community event.
なんか PR 的にはどうなんだろうっていつも思うんだけど、やっぱり一番最初にプレイヤーの皆さん、光の選手の皆さんに
Okay, why was so he's talking about why was Barbariccia hidden until the release of the patch? What were the intentions for the appearance and the order of the
その
Archfiends?
感覚とともにやっぱりストーリー楽しんでもらいたいっていうのがあるから、そのいくらコンテンツでね、その PR 要素とはいえ出しちゃうと、そこが薄れるっていうことをまあできるだけしたくないっていうのがやっぱり意図としては強いかな。まあそれが結構一番、まあ伏せさせてもらったっていうのはそこが一番大きいかな。ただまあ
I'm pretty sure they will join Hildy, otherwise they wouldn't make his quest obligatory for the relic, right? Well, it depends, right? Though Baphomet, I think it's because they want to have Godbrand reference events that have happened in earlier ones. So it may not be that they're requiring it up to current, but maybe it could be possible. I just want to know whether the Baruch using Caliphysteria ever had a hair off. I mean, well, she did drink Void Sent Blood, but I don't think Barbariccia was ever summoned to the source, so it's unlikely. It's very unlikely, but not impossible, maybe, based on the little that we know about her practices. Okay, Daisy, yeah, just let us know. Like, just all you can always use the looking for group. We really want every player to enjoy the story, having the excitement when progressing through it and figuring out things little by little. That's the main reason. Players will be thinking about who is next. Has to be this guy, right? And we keep them wondering this way. So that's making it a fundamental part of people talking about the game, if you make it part of the main story, and ordering it in the way that they did. Uncle Joe, good to see you, glad to have you. Hildy's back from the first, yeah, on the moon now. I believe so. That's a good point, yeah. And I guess if he's on Mare, then it would be... You're right, there's that in the trailer, so of course. Yeah, good point. I actually haven't done the first part yet of the most recent Hildy. I just haven't had time to get to it. Cursing way on the live letter. Beautiful. Barbariccia and Scarmiglione came to the source in our back pocket as a Memoria crystal. Yeah, but that's not my point, AC. My point was more that, like, the Void Sent blood rights of Caliphysteria. And also, we're specifically told that the Memoria crystals are, like, once they're locked in, they're locked. That may not be true ultimately, but... Yoshi-P. As always, I will leave space for everyone to imagine how we bring characters from other FF games, in this case 4, to the world of Final Fantasy XIV. Zero miss? Just saying.
とにかくわちゃわちゃさせたいっていうところが、まあ初動で企画としてはあったそうで、まあそこをストレートにこう作って
This is just Nightmare Before Christmas live action.
バトルになってる。だから最初
Skelling way.
やっぱりゲームテンポというかバトルテンポの速さ。
Jack Skelling way. Cursing needs to not talk about, not look directly at the camera ever again.
だったので、まあそこをこうなくさないようにというか、消さないように調整していくっていうのを結構やってった。ただ意外とノーマルとハード。I don't know if people are hung up. I think it's a relatively reasoned establishment. If you think about the, I think there's a way that you can make it connect. I don't know. I wouldn't know what to describe as hung up. I think it's an interesting point of connection that would make certain senses. And there's multiple ways they could play that. It also may just be a nod. Adia, good to see you, glad to have you. I wish we could learn more about the racial language of different races like Roganins and Lalafell. Well, we do have a lot. If you go to the, if you go read EE1 and go to the official forums, there is quite a bit that we get on them. The Lalafell language, not as much. But the ancient Lalafell language has not been used in a while. I mean, you got words like Halatali, which are named in it. But yeah, I definitely would want more, I'm with you. The direct-to-video sequel to Nightmare Before Christmas, Nightmare Before Easter. How is the fight designed? We have a very fast-paced fight that hits you with mechanic after mechanic in a high tempo. Man, I'm trying really hard to give a serious response. I just can't when I see you sitting there like this. The recent fights focused a lot more on puzzle solving, so we did want to go a bit in a different direction with a more fast execution-based style, which if you play Barbariccia, that tracks. Okay, yeah, I got my E1 and E2 today. Awesome, Jade. You gotta let me know how you enjoy them. And definitely join Lore Book Club. I have a theory on Zero's real name, but it's not really 4 related.
then I'm not sure why it would be, but maybe it's another game, though, so. I really hope Zero doesn't turn evil on her own. If she does, it's because I really like her, and I think she'd prove a great new dynamic in the Scions. I totally agree, Green Caps. However, I would also entertain her end up being up evil, because that would also be more just as, like, very interesting and tragic in its own right. But I do think that you're probably right, and it will end up that way, and I do understand wanting to have her around as a new Scion with a new dynamic, especially traveling to places like Marasidia, where there are remnants of Void Sense destruction and, you know, fallout, and how she could have a role in that. Oh, Shadow! Thank you so much for the $20! Do you think they'll add Sephiroth in the future? You know, it's an interesting question. I don't think they'll add Sephiroth. I think in a sense, Xenos occupies a space that is almost like Sephiroth or Vayne Solidor, and that dynamic between the Warrior of Light and Xenos has parallels in interesting ways to Sephiroth and Cloud. I wouldn't say no, and I don't think that they would necessarily avoid more Sephiroth likes. I don't know that we'd ever see a character that's so closely attuned to him, any more so than I would describe Xenos broadly. But I don't think it's impossible. Again, thank you for the $20. Henry, good to see you, glad to have you. Basically, they already referenced Zero Mist through Zodiark. But Zodiark, you could argue, is a reference to Chaos, both in its design and a lot of other things. Zodiark is you know, is a multi-step reference point. The mechanic where you tie, this is Yoshi. The mechanic where you tied within the circle with the hair, we had so much trouble designing that one. When I first played it, I wanted to leave that circle. I think that is the first thing most players will have tried, and then you get pulled back. It was difficult trying to make it clearer that you have to stay inside the circle. I know the Dwarven language, a lot of drunken slurs and insults to your mother and lolly-hos. You're not wrong. Maybe AC. Yeah, but like Sephiroth will never be. Sephiroth will never be just a memory. I take that Sephiroth terrifies my friend and Xenos terrifies me. We'll both hide from their cosplayers. There you go, Aurora. Yeah, Xenos is very Sephiroth, but I definitely think we could see like a boss referencing Safer Seph or Bizarro Seph. I definitely think we could see a lot of bosses referencing, like in some ways we already get concepts with things like Genova. I definitely think there are versions of Sephiroth we could definitely see harkened back to, whether it be on other reflections or elsewhere. I meant more that in that he's a huge monstrous entity trapped inside the moon. Oh yeah, okay, sorry Henry, I was going off of the superficial. That's an excellent point. And if you think about that, yeah, that makes a lot of sense in terms of Endwalker as a whole being a 4 reference point. What's interesting though is that we've known that he was tied to the moon for a long time since. There's been like a lot of explicit hits towards it, even in like Heavensward and in E1, but it's nice that they managed to work that out in the end. And also, they originally wanted to use the Red Moon, which became Dalamud, a little bit more like, it seems more like the Final Fantasy VIII Moon. Red Moon. I wasn't used to the fight at first, but I found the new mechanics of Storm Crowns to be very stimulating. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I've been doing a lot of Barb EX to get the links. No luck yet, but it's a very fun fight. Okay. Yoshi-P, or sorry, Foxconn. Now on to Pandemonium. Players were excited that Laha Bray returned and even had voiced lines during the fight. Yes, what if only, okay, but here's the theory. What if they voiced them outside of the fight? I know it's more expensive, I know logistics are hard, and I understand there are reasonable reasons why they haven't, but also, I feel like the biggest thing that this game could do, number one thing, that if the game could only do one thing, it would be to get more voice acting in the game. The more they do that, the easier it is for people to engage with it. And also, same way, like if you could only do one thing to ARR from here on out, you couldn't change it ever again, making the whole thing voiced would be an enormous bump. I mean, just look at the fact that like Coils is so much better for being voiced. This is Laproween, this is Laproween, carrots scream in the dead of night. This is Laproween, everybody make a scene, cosplay, tell the Nintendo's gonna die of fright. God, dude, that's fucking awesome. I've cleared 10 times, plan to clear more on Barbara soon. Thanks, Hydra. You think we'll get our first look at Cagnazo in the live letter? No, because they said they weren't going to talk about 6.3, and I think that they're not going to reference any content within that. So I would, this is going to be 6.2 a little bit on, and it's 6.25 exclusively, I would bet, Henry. Cagnazo and group content will be separated trials or combined single trial. AC, I literally could see them play it either way. Yoshi-P, I didn't even know we had a voice lines for him until I play tested. My initial reaction was, oh, we have extra voice lines for him? And my team just kind of responded, hey, yeah, we just added them. Yoshi-P, we're also always trying to stay with a tight budget, but thanks to recent successes, we were able to add a bit more. So that's interesting. They definitely are explicitly stating that their budget has increased. I think Cagnazo and Rubicante, I think there's plenty of reasons to see it as a combined fight, especially if you want to think about Golbez as the third trial or something like that. There's a lot of reasons why it would make sense, but you could really make an easy argument that they might do something wild and maybe do 4 trials or something. Basically, all SWTOR is voiced, so it wouldn't be an unprecedented feat in MMOs. Yeah, the interesting thing, though, is that so much of their budget focused on that from the get-go, and their pipeline was built around that, and also notice that SWTOR has had a lot of problems consistently creating content, kind of as a byproduct of that. But partially. But yeah, it's not unheard of. Do we get female Hrothgar? We get that in 7.0, Ellie. Good to see you, glad to have you, by the way. Rubicante, 100% will be a trial. It will 100% be a trial. No question Rubicante will be a trial. The question is whether or not, you know, you combine and make him trial 3 with Cagnazo, or if you like do Cagnazo as like a story the same way they did like Sapphire Weapon as like a story thing. I hope not. I'd rather them just do more trials. Yeah, the last we heard, Ellie, was the female Hroth was going to be a 7.0 sort of feature. What if Azdaia will be in the trial? I don't think. Well, as if Azdaia will be in the trial. If we get a Golbez trial, I think Azdaia would be in the trial. Darn just got to 2002. I feel your pain. Yeah. Dino, good to see you. Glad to have you. I was sad that Sapphire Weapon was one off. Me too. And the same way with the 4 lords. There's 4 lords. Make one of the make the 4 trials. So there's 1 for each lord. But I also get it for pacing, for content. But you know, let's check to see what they've said. Yoshi-P, our development team has been improving, and we are able to work within the arena a lot more. Also, a big thanks, and I'm sorry I didn't say this up top, to Miuna of the and Iluna of Iluna Minori of the Final Fantasy XIV Discord, or they do the translation live letters as well, as I'm sure I think a couple others that I'm forgetting their names. I will sometimes join them, and if it weren't for their work, I wouldn't be able. There's the work I'm reading off of, and I'm very thankful for that. This was the first time we released this. Okay, Foxconn. This is the first time we released the Savage tier a week later, apart from the expansion release, and feedback seems to have been very positive. I don't know about you guys. I much prefer it that way. It's almost a shame that Scarmiglione was made the Mikote since, you know, Cagnazo. Beautiful. Azdaia has a strong chance to be a boss of some kind. Yeah, I would think that combining her with Golbez is the way to go. Summit! Welcome to Archon! Hope you enjoy your emotes. And for those of you with emotes, now is the time for Gobble Brooms! I don't want to fight Azdaia because it makes Vitra sad. Yeah. It may come to that though. I mean, since it's all the MSQ time, there's no reason to keep it to 3 like before with the MSQ and trial series split. I assume the rest of the Fiends and Golbez will be on their own trials. Well, no. So the reason that it's split though is not just a part is a part of content release cadence. So it's like every certain amount of patches is the trial typically, and you also have to think about the amount of content they have to put out at a time. And so they want to make sure that, you know, it's being released at a certain cadence when they're releasing EXs and that when they're releasing the Alliance raids, when they're releasing. Now, because their budget's bigger and they're trying to hire and I think do more because of how the success of Endwalker, I do think there's a chance we could see it. And we also don't know that 6.x may be an extra patch or something, you know? So it's not impossible. But I don't know that we should assume just because it's MSQ that it will happen. The same way that no, you know, actually I take it back because we get King Magomag, Shiva, Ramu, and Leviathan in Realm Reborn. Now that was so long ago, and the pattern, like the requirements to do that, so different compared to where they're at now. But not unheard of, green caps. Okay, so I'm not crazy about my game crashing. Sorry, Aurora. Azdaia is obviously going to be Teddy's Shadow Dragon. Yeah, exactly, Henry. Yeah, I mean they basically already they actually like. I mean in 6.2 they're basically already effectively state that or show it to an extent. It's not quite the same, obviously, but let me catch up. Yoshi-P. Yes, thanks everyone for the cooperation there. I've been reading the forums a lot as well. What do you guys think? Should we keep it like this? There was concern about the new crafted gear not selling at all, but looking at the data, there are worlds that had way higher numbers of crafted gear being sold there before. We're in the stages of reviewing all the data we've gathered about this, but we're leaning towards having Savage release delayed. Yes, please do. It's very, very helpful. For at least speaking for me. Game won't let me back into launcher doing the 4-language thing. A technical issue has occurred. Looks like you're not alone, Dino. Yeah, Theodore is a woman in. Actually, AC, I wouldn't be against that.
はい
Y'all, my boyfriend just finished Endwalker, just got through the credits, and then servers crashed. Where will it start him when he's able to log in again? If I'm not mistaken, it will load him into Ultimate Duel. I believe if he's going through the credits at the end, it will load him into Medion's Flower Bed. Atelier, good to see you, glad to have you. 602 Q and Goblin. Oh man, everyone's having a hard time. Oko Joe, good to see you, glad to have you. I feel like an extra pack is unlikely at this point since the 10-year plan, live letter specified 1 to 5. Yeah, Oko Joe, last we heard, you're right. However, we have known them to change things up in the past. So you're probably right. I think that's the safe bet. But post Endwalker has already been weird. So I think it's worth knowing that anything's possible. The other thing that I think is worth remembering is that they've set relatively hard limits of 4 months now. That's, you know, shifted a bit, can shift a bit. But if we follow that trend, the next expansion may land somewhere where they don't necessarily have stated in the past not wanting it to land. So, you know, we'll see. But yeah, I do think the safe bet is to assume 1 to 5. I got the floor 180 on POT solo. Oh, 80, that sucks. Auroria, thank you for the 4 months. Enjoy your emotes. Pick whatever your favorite one is and toss it in. Okay. Foxconn, with a few more adjustments possibly. So they may want to adjust the what am I trying to say? They want to adjust potentially the release cadence of when they release the Savage, or I don't know. It's kind of vague what they're getting at with that. But Foxconn, we had a lot of feedback on the job adjustments and us explaining them. Yoshi-P, we want to continue explaining our thoughts on what led to specific job adjustments. Some things have been taken out of context, and to clarify those better, we want to go into more detail here. The data we have might be different to the data players are looking at. That is important and worth remembering. They have a very more explicit and clear set of data. No crashes here, but it seems some major attack is going on, just vibing AFK and Elvis. Weird. Is Xenos still saying at the end of the... Xenos is gone. Xenos is down and out as far as everything that is made clear, and even I believe, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there a comment from Yoshi-P or Ishikawa about making it being more explicit about his effective death? But as far as we know, he's done. I mean, like, everything in his text is damn close to explicit. Not quite, but damn close to explicit that he's done. You know, the candle of his life, all of that. And I think, you know, the death of him would explain also the release of his Reaper, which is 0. And if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Zero, I need to replay 6.2, doesn't Zero basically state his death? Doesn't she explicitly make it explicit? After finding out that Yoshi-P is an editorial supervisor, I've been waiting for a collab between 14 and FF Lost Stranger. Oh god. Guess, yeah, big surprise there, Auroria. No problem with you as far as I can tell. Okay, good to know, Rated. Just maybe Americas? I'm just taking the server crash as a sign to just quit for tonight and just chill with the live letter. Well, we're glad to have you, Atelier. Will the Relic Quest take us to new places, do you think? No, I don't think it'll take us to new places. But maybe I'm wrong. Before we get up. Foxconn, this is all an evolving process. Yoshi-P, only number adjustments for jobs 6.25 for jobs in 6.25, a few more in 6.28. So there's only potency and damage adjustments are going to be adjusted in 6.25. It is not going to be like new abilities, removing abilities. That is so. Do not look forward or changes of any kind that are not that. We've always got at least 4 trials in the past, with one being reserved for MSQ. I don't think that's true. Maybe I'm forgetting something, but like you've got the 3 in Shadowbringers plus the weapons, that's 6. In Stormblood it's 3 plus 3, that's 6. In Heaven's Word it's the 3 plus the Warring Triad, that's 6. I don't think there's 4. No, wait, maybe I'm wrong. No, there is. I'm wrong. I mean, I'm totally wrong, King Grabs, because there's Steps of Faith, right? Final Steps of Faith. No, Tsukiyomi, I don't know what I'm saying. Tsukiyomi, and final Seed of Sacrifice. I'm just full of shit. Yeah, you guys are all correcting me. Good. She says her connection to him was severed at the end of his life. Yeah. Yes, thank you, Demens. Thank you. I just saw the cutscene. Zeus dying again. He's definitely visibly stopped breathing like they claimed. Yeah. And basically, I think everything is very clear. Xenos gets isekai to the beach episode we were promised. In all seriousness, the world of FF Lost Stranger would absolutely work as one of the remaining reflections. Yeah, I would never look to any of the reflections as explicitly like they're just going to do that as a reflection, but I would definitely look to them as being inspiration. So you could see like a reflection that's inspired by Spira, or a reflection that's inspired by Lost Strangers, but I think they're never going to do like just an explicit one. You could argue maybe 11, but I think that's unlikely because of the metaphysic nature of Thanadiel doesn't really vibe with literally everything set up for 14. His soul wouldn't be trapped in Ultimate Thule anymore since Medion stopped hoarding like a magpie. Yeah.
PVP 人口は今多いんですね。
そうですね。
Okay.
このコンテンツ
We got some more translations.
過去最大級なので、
We increased the hitbox sizes so melee could be hitting the boss without any losses, but by doing that now, the balance between ranged and melee is off. So we will adjust those some numbers there. The action adjustments won't happen until 6.3. There are action adjustments coming, apparently, especially possibly for they said they want to rework Paladin, which makes me sad. I really love where Paladin is. But 6.25, expect number adjustments as well as potentially 6.28. Since introducing Crystal Conflict, PvP has been very popular. And job adjustments are going to happen in PvP in 6.28 as well. Oh, Shadow, thank you for the $10. Thank you so much. Much obliged. Do you think Emmett Selk and Hythlodaeus will return in the future? I hope not. I think, like, very emphatically, the narrative of the end of the Ancients world is so well and beautifully handled and comes to full circle in that them returning to the Ethereal Sea and letting their souls to rest and letting them, like, their own souls either reincarnate or fade fully into the sea is a far more beautiful and powerful choice. So I personally think I do not think they will return, and I think that it is better if they don't. I think you could see maybe one day a reincarnation of an entity with one of their souls, and maybe that affects their disposition. The same way that we are told that we're kind of like a Zem in many ways. Maybe that happens, and that would be a lovely long-term story. But no, I do think we're done. I do think that their story has come to an end, and I think emphatically so and very beautifully so. Just a coincidence that the US servers crashed with the live letters happening. Audio Red, good to see you, glad to have you. And it's probably not a coincidence. If it's malicious or not, I'm unsure. If anyone has for sure information on that, feel free to share, but let's not speculate. Well, we know that Shitoto has made the trip and the minions from Eureka. Yeah, but the thing about the Shitoto thing that's weird is we also have, like, the event, the episode, the FF11 crossovers plus the 15 crossovers, and so, like, the thing is, the canonicity of events is always really wibbly wobbly, wonky wonky. So yeah, given them a second to do this whole thing together for time, they deserve it. Yeah. Incidentally, I have steadfast refused to do Eureka since there's no wind-up clock. Yeah, I hope they give the Ancients a rest now. I do think there's more to the Ancient world, the same way that we get with Pandemonium, and we'll, I think, find out more about the world in Sunder potentially in the future. I do think, though, that their time has come to an end, and it is better for that. It's strange they announced they were revamping Rival Wings, but then they did nothing to promote it like they did with CC. I mean, they kind of did, but that's also like CC, like Rival Wings is you need more people. It's hard to promote it. People already know it. And it's good. I really love Rival Wings, but yeah, getting a match for it is hard. The only Aston I could see coming back is Gaia. Yeah, and I appreciate you putting quotes, right? Because, like, not really, she, like, you know, an inheritor of Logrith's soul, but. Okay, let's see. We got some new translations up. One PvP adjustment that will happen in 6.25 is the cover ability with Paladin tab, which is fucking awesome because I hate that ability as a Paladin. I don't enjoy using it. It's good, but I hate using it. But so it's gonna have a new ability, and I already love playing Paladin in PvP, so that's great. Okay, what is Foxcom? What is the current state of Island Sanctuary, and what are the future plans? Yoshi-P, I was told, do you even know what slow life is from the Japanese community? Players from overseas generally enjoy content on their own pace, but Japanese players have this tendency to do any ask if they see it and try to optimize the way of doing them. I'm sure none of us relate, even as players in the West. Can souls in the Ethereal Sea do things together before they fade? It depends, right? Like, one, because the rate at which they fade is ambiguous, and how much they cling to life is it's highly dependent on a number of contexts, and also whether they let themselves drift away. I wouldn't say that they do stuff together in any conventional sense, especially when you think about the ways that Hydaelyn refers to it, or talks about those souls returning to rest, or like drifting down, or, you know, look at the lyrics of Flow. I would suppose that most of them are just floating in peace for the most part, rather than like engaging with each other in any meaningful way. But that's speculative. I think you can base your argument over that when you look at the Aetioscope, when you look at those, and you look at those who cling to life, like Asahi, right? We know that it is possible to do that. Or, you know, even Fandaniel. Guy could go easy on that lipstick. Yeah, normally I take the crossovers as non-canon fever dream. Yeah, I take them as non-canon fever dreams until such time as they give us reason to think that they should be taken seriously. You know, reasonable minds may differ. Kadu, for some reason, story finally, I really hope we don't find any ancients hanging out in the time-displaced pandemonium. I think there's a non-zero chance we do, but I think if we do, there's a lot of interesting things wrong with that. It's also worth remembering that we know for a fact that there's a good chance that maybe that some ancient put part of their soul in the crystals. And especially if you think about the crystal responding to the signature of something in Azaz-La. Well, who was in Azaz-La who died? A little someone named La Habrea. You know, so I think there's still ancient stuff that's definitely going to go down, but I do think it's going to be climactic and have finality and not like be like them. Oh, some ancients are now just hanging around in the present. What do you think about an X-Pack taking place in the Ethereal Sea? I think that would be a bad idea for a number of reasons, and I will get into why. Also, Quinn, good to see you, glad to have you. Considering how it takes from the Greek myth, there's a chance we can explore new layers of hell. Except for the layers of hell that exist in 14 and the like the 7 circles of hell and stuff are more tied to the Omphalos and that stuff as opposed to the Ethereal Sea. So I wouldn't assume that place is necessarily within the Ethereal Sea, though maybe it is. I would think that the Ethereal Sea is a poor idea because it's supposed to be a, you know, what little there is churning and smashing together and just returning to aethers. It is a byproduct of existing aether. The living world begets it, and it begets the living world. I don't think like creating an expansion there makes a lot of sense because having physical spaces within there doesn't really work, and exploring the concepts like hells and stuff is already kind of being done by Pandemonium, and also to an extent, you know, Pandemonium is kind of dealing with both the heavens and hells, but also as Agalea and, you know, Mists of the Realm is kind of dealing with the heavens and hells as well. I mean, literally we've seen the hell of fire and the heavens of fire and the heavens of lightning already. Welcome and well met, my brave. Welcome and well met, my brave little spark. It's dangerous for people to overstay in the Ethereal Sea deeper areas for too long. Yeah, like it's more dangerous to stay in the Ethereal Sea in some ways than it would be to stay in the 13th. You know, but effectively, honestly, it's actually pretty similar. I mean, not that we don't have tools to deal with that. We got some new translations. Players see an empty schedule in the workshop and they feel the need to fill it with something, but especially overseas, we are seeing that players visit the island every couple of days. There's also the feedback that players want to design their island more freely and have their individual island stand out. Very much so. We knew this would happen, but this is very difficult to implement. Understandable. We are trying to allow players to place garden housing items on their island. We don't have a release schedule for this feature yet, but we are trying, which would really help with Thavnarian onions. If not, then everything in Pandemonium will be 3 times bigger than it is without size correction. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Can't wait for more Raha Kryl and totally not Oshan in 6.3. Yeah, Okocho, me too, and exactly right. Yukio, good to see you, glad to have you. Oh no, did I miss the live alert? No, we're maybe like we're an hour in, so we've still got a solid, I would say, hour or 2 to go. So you can always go back and watch that, but we're still going strong. Did all the other shards get shards of the panda too? Remember, all the ethereal seas are separate. We know that all the ethereal seas are separate. It's made explicit by Hydaelyn that she had to draw the soul of Emet-Selch onto our ethereal sea, as well as Menphilia. So because of that, I would suggest that it is text, and also that. Well, I guess actually, let me rephrase your point. There is a fair point you could say that because if it was sundered, then those things were sundered across them. I follow. Okay, but I would say that I think Pandemonium expressing itself as it did at the end of Pandemonium when it does means it is traveling forward to that point, and I believe it was probably a speculation, but probably saved from the sundering. The important live letter. No, this is the important live letter. They're in the middle of the important live letter. Nope, no new translations yet. Ray, thank you. If you enjoy the stream and aren't already a member of our Discord, why not come join us? It's https://discord.gg/Eorzean archives. Yes, we have a good time there, and we do a lot of fun stuff, and we do community events every week, so you should definitely come join. We're 30 minutes in, but technically, but yes. Oh, right, 11:30. We didn't start at 11. Thank you, Hydra. No, we have 30 minutes. We're only 30 minutes in. If Kryl were to job change, what job would she pick for magic DPS? I would think healer, but I'll have to think about that, AC. Do we miss the Pandemonium part? Not really. We might finally know what the sound that came from inside the star was at the end of Pandemonium. You think this is likely? Maybe. Quinn, I think it's actually not. It's possible it's Pandemonium. I think you could argue Pandemonium. I think you could argue that it might have to do with the secret gate of the Omphalos and maybe the hells of Eorzea. I think there's also some weird notion about that. If you look at the language around that sound, it seems like they may be retconning that originally they were going to have the Song of Despair be coming from within the star and kind of... And it's being kind of recontextualized or retconned that it was more of a misunderstanding that the ancients believed it was coming from within, but it was actually coming from without. However, it's not clear if that is the case. That's just kind of the language around it seems to be what they're getting at if you look at what we know currently. Follow me, come to Pandemonium, drawn to the flame by the fear. Kryle feels like she'd be an astrologian or arcanist. Wait, that's orange shit. Yeah. Well, the thing is that astrologian is already Eorzean, right? Make her a tank. Fuck it. Okay, we gotta do some translations. This patch brought Titania weapons. There was also a new challenge with those ones. Yeah, if you've never gotten the Titania weapons, they're good weapons. Also, there's the Umbrella Dance emote is a thing. So we're all just singing in the rain, aren't we? Probably a flavor of magic of rolls for Kryle. Honestly, I think I would make Kryle the new job. I think like let's just say for the sake of argument, Geomancer, right? You make Kryle the Geomancer. I think because I think like. Why would you, like, don't change, there's no reason to change your Solar, no reason to change Zero, no reason to change Orianji, no reason to change Thanker, no reason to change any of our party particularly, and give them a new job. But having a new character represent the new job, I think makes a lot of sense. Mage Tank Kryle Kappa. Yeah. Sound from the earth was heard in Thavner as reported to us by R01 while we weren't there. The locals heard it. Right, but that's what I'm saying is that the sound of the earth that they're talking about may be the Song of Despair and it being propagated out. I'm a strong assumption that Kryle will get a class change. She will be the face of the new job. I think you're probably right, Yukio. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. Kryl's supposed to have a bigger role in 7.0. So excited for that. Me too, man. Me too. Since the ranged DPS jobs are both physical and magical, what do you think of a magical melee category? I think you're inviting a lot of problems if you do that, but I'm not fully against it. Thank you, Ray. Yeah, do you like what we do? Consider showing your support. Sign up for our Patreon. It goes a long way to supporting us to make this whole thing a lot more sustainable and is much appreciated. Okay, since introducing ultimate weapons, we have tried to have flashy effects. Our gear design team has been stepping up the quality of effects for new weapons, and gear has improved a lot. The issue with stepping up is that the player feedback also steps up. You raise the stand, and so effectively they've raised the standards too high. And I will say, I mean, if you look at like the Pandemonium armor too, like the giant rings is a bit much. I wish there was an option to toggle it. Like, not that I think they should like never do it, but I wish you could toggle that back ring for the tank armor and melee DPS, I believe. Funny enough, since Kryle inherits Gallus Crystal Blessing in FF5, since I always make him melee tank roll, she inherits its stuff. Yeah. The only pre-existing job that would fit is Psychic from Final Fantasy X-2. Is that the only job? I mean, you could do like Rune Fencer and make that Rune Fencer. I mean, the thing is, I don't know that Rune Fencer is distinctive enough. But like, there are. I think we could come up with some ideas. But I think broadly, you're right, Henry. I can't think of any off the top of my head. She could be a new healer job, like Devout, for example. I would also, based on prior comments to them, I would look not to just past games because they have stated specifically, hey, most new jobs may be like original 14. Well, I want her to be a Beastmaster. I prefer the new Mo being that. I think Beastmaster, if it ever came out, would definitely be a Blue Mage style job. I definitely think it'd be a limited job, no question, and in my opinion. And I would like it. I want it more as that because I want it to be like a side minigame thing I can do. Hydaelyn, it's good to see you. Glad to have you. Yeah, magical melee is Sam. They cast more than summoner. I mean, they use abilities, they use techniques, but they're not. It's not the same as magical melee. Pop me with the horny bat. I want Necromancer solo. Oh god, Yukio, do I not have to do my whole spiel on Necromancer again? Don't make me do it. Spectral Necromancer set. Sipping tea in my horny jail. Understandable. Understandable about wanting it for the glam. Let's see if there's some new translations. Yeah, okay, we got some. Yoshi-P. Now we have been asked to add options to disable weapon gear VFX. Woo! Just what I said. Yoshi-P. It's not that simple. Great. Yoshi-P. I had meetings yesterday about the graphic updates for 7.0. Those will allow us to go further with the designs. We will keep improving. That's good news. Foxconn, please keep providing feedback. Just please be nice about it. Always provide your feedback. You can use the forums. If you provide feedback, they do try to read it on like the Reddit, the forums, all that stuff. But I beg of you, please be kind about it. They'll be more likely to listen to you, and there's just no reason to be shitty. There just isn't. It won't get your point across. I remember when players were happy that they were able to dye gear. Now everyone wants to allow them to dye only specific parts of gear. Please give us dye channels. I beg of you. I beg of you. That was the 6.2 in review. Not very thorough, but it was something. Now on to 6.25.
装備はもうなんか忙しすぎてさ、とっくに言ったんじゃないか。
Goku ZXR, good to see you, glad to have you. Were their class in the old FF titles that did magic melee other than red mage? I mean, rune fencer, you know, psychic. We would have to like pull up the list because honestly, I'm sure there are a bunch I'm just not even thinking about. It also depends on what you mean too, right? Like, is the spell in and of itself melee spells, or are they able to fight melee as well? Because then it gets like very, very gray. The Superman 64 ring armor sets. Yeah, I tell you. Now you put that in my mind. I'm always gonna think that. I've been saying some new dot mage with time burst instead of normal dots, and that's just one potential option. I'd be okay with a dot mage. I didn't mind old summoner, but. Krau did get possessed by Hydaelyn. We could get Krau, just have a persona stand style job. Yes, this is a jokey idea. Well, okay, thank you for I appreciate you qualifying as a jokey idea, because I take people at too much face value, but I as a joke, I love it. Too many cross strings the next round. Please be nice about feedback. Don't make Horror Bunny angry. Yeah, you wouldn't like it when he's angry. Dark Knight from 3, Mystic Knight from 5, Paladin from 9. Yeah. Darvin, good to see you, glad to have you. Yeah, it's always good to have you. Don't worry if you're late. What do you mean makeup? I only see Glit Gaming with. Okay. Yoshi-P, we're talking so much about 6.3 in the team, I'm getting things mixed up in my head. Dude, look at that new map. It's a new locale for the tribal quests. This is the same way that there's the I'm not Ilmeg. There's Ilmeg, Donmeg. Why am I forgetting its name? Someone help me. Fairyland for the Pixie Tribe quest. I love this. It's so colorful, so lovely, and I love the blue sky. It's so much different, more different than the like the. It's the same, but it's very different to the like purpley sky of Ultimate Duel. It's a lot more pleasant, a lot more kind. But it's interesting. It looks like a combination and a confluence of Omni. Holy crap! Men in Black. Oh, dude, I feel like, oh, wait, no. Oh, dude, a Roganin is gonna pick this up day one. They're just gonna make a giant white-faced Roganin, and Mr. X is gonna go fucking, like, yeah. No, it's the, Limeg. Yes, Limeg. Thank you.
ぜひとも皆さんゲットしてください。ちょっとなんかスパイ活動ね、良さそう。しやすい。ね。
Meringue? What? Depends, you're just fucking with me. Summit, did I ever say good to see you, glad to have you, by the way? Good to see you, glad to have you. I like red mage, but without jumping, I actually don't know how it can be implemented, actually. Yeah, like, yeah. Looks like Stranger from Fallout. Yeah, Mr. X, oh my god, I've been waiting for the coat like that. There you go. Blues Brothers meets Men in Black. Yeah, exactly, Goku. No, it's Adjustment Bureau, what the heck. That is going to be the armor available for the Tribal Quest. At least that's what they're kind of implying. I may have, there's nothing that explains it more. Yeah, but so those screenshots, honestly, the fact that they show that in Charlene makes me think maybe it's not going to be in there, but we'll see. I always get Desert Zones and Pixie Zones names confused. I'm trying to think of a good way to make it so you can remember them. Make it a meringue pie. Meringue pies are light, they're like light colored. Meringue has the wall of light. I don't think that's going to work, but you're welcome. Take my money, Yoshi-P. Yeah, I think it might be free. Don't trust me on that because I don't have a translation stating that for sure. It could be a paid item, but it seemed to be implied that it was earnable in game. We'll see. I can cosplay as Q from Street Fighter 3 now. The Vobert scythe from Don Meg looks great, by the way. Yes, it does. We can also get machinists wearing it in a mock mafia style. Yeah, just Chicago typewriter it. Time to make some boonshine. No, you get a monk together and a machinist together, and that's how you make some boonshine. New logical data center, Dynamis. Interesting choice of name. We are finally able to finish the last steps for the NADC expansion. The new NADC will be called Dynamis. That is a really cool name. And also, if you think about Aether, Crystal, you think about the other names that are with it, and Primal, like that works really well. We also got machinists wearing it in a mock outfit. Oh no, we already got that. And it's going to be Hell Carnassus, which if you've done like Hawk Hard and stuff, you'll know that name might be familiar. Maduin, I don't know that's roughly. Merilith. Well, I know what that is, but I can't think of it. And then Seraph, which... Dynamis, location from 11. I think they're aiming it more after the metaphysical thing from Endwalker, but maybe. New Day Center comes out on my birthday. Neat.
論理データセンターとして4ワールド。
はい。
Also, happy early birthday, Dimins.
はい。
And to all of you who are having a birthday today and or soon.
ハウジング、この新たな4つのワールドのハウジングですが、こちらは
Housing lottery will begin Saturday, November 5th
の
for it.
抽選からサイクルに乗っかってくるということになりますのでご了承ください。はい、また詳しくは今後トピックスとか出ていきますので、そちらも合わせてご確認いただければと思いますので、よろしく。
Sadly, I've not played a lot of 11, Henry, so I don't get your joke, but I appreciate you making it. To any of you who have played 11, I beg of you laugh at it. Maduin is Terra's father's from 6. Thanks you, Tillier. That would explain why I didn't remember it, because 6 is not one of the ones that's stuck in my memory. It's my birthday in just over 2 weeks. Well, happy early birthday. Please tell me Halone will not be saved for the last Alliance raid. No, here, let me show you. While we wait for some further translations. Well, okay. What I'm about to say is not technically for sure true. However, I'm going to go ahead and stake on my honor that it is true. If you look at the chart, the order that we did the thing for Agalea in was Byragot, Ralgar, Azima, Nalthal. So, if that follows, the next 4 would be Nafka, Althik, Halone, Menfina. And then it would end with Thaliak, Nymea, Limlane, Oshan. And when we think about definitely not Oshan Man, and all of that going on, and how weirdly important Oshan seems to potentially be to what's going on, the fact that he's the final one makes a lot of sense. So no, Halone should be in the next one, and she should be the third boss of the next one. Merilith is the Fiend of Fire from 5. That's why, Henry, I just played FF1. I just finished replaying FF1 this last Thursday, and I fought her like 2 weeks ago. That's why I knew the name. And if you haven't watched it on Thursday, we replay the Final Fantasy series, and we're playing them in order. And Naniri is a hilarious woman's voice, old woman's voice. Okay, new translations. It's 4 new servers now, but we expect the player base to grow in 7.0, so it's just 4 for now. The housing lottery in these new servers will open November 5th. We're working on adding new housing plots, but we can't say much about that yet as we haven't finished the schedule. There's the possibility that the DC expansion maintenance will be 24 hours, so be prepared. So be prepared to eventually take that day off, guys. We're not sure yet, though. So it's possible that November 1st you may need to take the day off from playing the game. Or if we want to be old school, NA Merilith is Carrick. Is it? Wait, is her name originally Carrie? He's definitely not Oshan. Yeah, definitely not. The monkey is Oshan. Yeah, no, the Oppo is definitely probably Oshan. That would make sense if you think about how the animals are thinking. But let me put it this way. I'm not saying he's Oshan, but I'm saying he's heavily associated with him to a point that's very interesting. But yeah, the monkey may very well be Oshan, and I think that's if we follow the pattern. Oh, hey, it's Ishikawa, and she's holding an armful of Loporits. That's it for the first part. This is the scenario writer team. So that was Ishikawa that just introduced herself with a bunch of Loporits in her arm. She wrote Shadowbringers and Endwalker and parts of Stormblood, as well as wrote the Dark Knight quests and the Rogue quests. So a lot of the favored stories. This is Oda. He is our Banri Oda. He is the lore master. And also he is often one of the scenario writers, I believe. They haven't explained who they are in the translations yet. So I wonder if all the 12 gear will be heavily Greek inspired. I would assume so, Adia. I would definitely think so. Halone better get the Machinist Holy Halana Grenade. Hey, see you on that train. I believe Amphinis should be last since, Moon and all, or at least the final boss of the new alliance. She's going to be the final boss of the next one. Would make the most sense if we follow the order that's been set so far. And that's assuming we follow the order that's set so far, but there's a lot of reasons to think we're following that order. Menfina is just going to be Hildy's mom, frying pan and all. We hope, Demons. Also, we're going to fight Menfina and Halone in a palace made of ice and moon rainbows. So, well, if the heaven of ice is true. So, Hope Limlane is the final boss of MOTR Myth of the Realm Part 3, so we get an epic sea shanty as the theme. Henry, I've heard that so many times, and boy, do I agree. Or we just play against Oshan and we get the Far Over the Misty Mountain Cold. I want those plushies, don't we all? I guess we'll never have the dragon as a new tribe. Oh well, I can't wait, no need to rush. Dragons as a new tribe would be a little bit surprising. at this point. But you know, maybe we could see that. And maybe we could see a version of some group of dragons. Obviously, it doesn't make sense for them to be on one of the reflections, but I don't know. Maybe they could find some justification or something. Yeah, we got some more translations. Yoshi-P will taking over, and Morbol will just sit there and not say anything, just looking stylish. Introductions. Okay, so they're translating the introductions right now. Work history. Okay, so this is Daichi Hiroi. Yeah, okay, they have his name right there. He has been away for a while, if I'm not mistaken. He worked on a lot of the earlier stuff, like ARR and Heavensward stuff, and then was gone for a bit. Especially ARR stuff. Yeah, okay. The early life fell in love with Dragon Quest. Joined Square Enix in 2014. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Daichi Hiroi joined. I'm trying to say his name so I get it stuck in my head. But at least when I look at his credits, he hasn't been doing a lot on 14 very recently. But he may have been working on 16 or something like that. He started a theater company, and you're still getting nervous on stream now. I wouldn't be if I was just following a script, but this is very different. Apparently, he's very nervous. In the Balance was such a gift to Ulda's aesthetics. I'm currently working on the lyrical lore for that, and I fucking love In the Balance so much. There's so many wonderful things. Like, it's a song, it's a banger, and also the narrative it's talking about, the history and lore it's talking about is just so good. With Nafka and Limlane and Halone all mid-bosses, I wonder if other cities will get the same musical treatment. I would look to Minfina. Yeah, you could see something with Minfina. Minfina could be a lot of things. Minfina could do something with Keeper of the Moon, or you could do like focus on like a more Holonic take. But I mean, you also have Heavensward as a whole for the Holonic take of the music. Yeah, it would be very interesting to see, because like you don't get into lyrics and stuff in the Balance until you get to Meltall. If I recall, Bunry Oda has been pushing for the appearance of Rogadine Child. Yeah, I remember saying something about that a long time ago. May have to skip forward a little. My idea is that the monkey is Oshan and Derek is Thaliak on the grounds gives me that Charlene's Loner vibe. I mean, that's not a crazy thing. I would say that we've seen the owl, and I would assume that the owl is probably Thaliak, especially if you look at his position, but it's possible. Bless his heart, I want to see Road Children. I mean, hey, we're just gonna go to Eorzean someday. Rip, good to see you, glad to have you. Any good stuff been revealed? I think it's pretty much par for the course. I wouldn't say anything crazy. But this 6.25, you always expect kind of like a maintenance live letter. I think the closest we'll get to the Dragon Quest type is Elto's custom delivery quest line. Henry, I think you're right, and I think that's a really, I think basically what we've got in terms of a tribe quest for dragons would definitely be Elto's custom delivery. I think that's I hadn't even thought to put that like that, but yeah, totally agree. We the traders shall weigh your souls. Yeah, and the Balance feels very Lalafell-esque for some reason. That's because it is. It's effectively the story of the Dunesfolk Lalafell finding their way through Hydaelyn and then going on to build Belladia and Ulda and Sildi. Ulda and Sildi as the fallout of that. So no, I mean it is very Lalafellian because it is very it literally is very Lalafellian. I seem to recall them being described as very top-heavy, like little macho man Randy Savages. Nald's dialogue is so full of life when he speaks. Yeah. I'm just curious what Holode's view is on the Dragon Song War since the war was held in her name. Yeah, I can't imagine particularly positive Yukio. I have to imagine she's more like, what the fuck? Maybe she's part of the reason that Ishgard was covered in ice for so long. Maybe she's the one who, like, when Dalamud fell and, like, the ethereal trails were, like, because we know that when, like, calamities happen, the, like, lines between the realms get blurred. Maybe she had a hand in that. I don't think so, but it could be. Okay. He had a theater company. It did not go very well, but that was his real intro into scenario writing. He joined the team around 2.3. Okay. That's Leviathan 2.2, Shiva's 2.5, Ramuz 2.3. I think is Leviathan. I forget. And the main story, I'm mainly responsible for patches between the expansions. Oh, interesting. Okay, so he's responsible for a lot of the patches. My Yoshi-P says, my impression has always been that you founding that theater company has been a huge advantage. You bring a lot of qualities outside of just writing. And then he, sometimes I wonder how a talented person like him ended up with us, Ishikawa said. No matter how much I try, the Manderville Gold Saucer, authoring almost all of the 100,000 characters worth of Japanese text implemented at launch of the Manderville. He wrote all of the Manderville, apparently. All the Manderville Gold Saucer, that's him. Hello, Nate Ishgard. Y'all need to chill. Yeah, absolutely. Ramu is 2.3. Okay. Leviathan is 2.2. Mogomog's 2.1. Is that what it is? Yeah, DKO. I just played these and I already forget the order of operation. About exactly which ones. Yeah, Leviathan is through the Maelstrom. Oh, no. So, okay. So, 80. No, so Ramu is 2.4. Someone give me 2.2. Okay, yeah, I thought, okay. Through the Maelstrom is 2.2. Okay, yeah. Derek and Thaliak's name sounds similar. Also, their hairstyle plus the thing with the 12 they can see. Can't say more, although they know reminds me heavily of the Forum situation. Yeah, I guess hello. I don't think he is. If anything, I think he's probably one of the worshippers of Eorzean, because they're described similarly as wanderers and as loners and as. And I think making Thaliak doesn't really make a lot of sense in terms of like their different elements in terms of the representation. There's a lot like. He's not necessarily represented as a scholar in the same way. Like I don't know. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I wouldn't say that I think that's not my impression of what they're hinting at. I expect Heloni to be an Athena like seeing. Yeah. Oh my God. Hard Athena vibes. Totally. She's a much more temperate goddess of war. Yeah. I'm just wondering, since so many innocents died in her name, even though she was a war goddess, she must have something to say. Yeah. She's definitely gonna have. She has to have something interesting to say. If they don't like even touch on it, that's gonna be disappointing. Heloni, more like Balon. Heloni is probably really beautiful, and the Greek gods were known to bed mortals. It's possible there might be an NPC related to Heloni. No, I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say in that regard, at least, because the way that they describe the separation between the 12 and everyone else is pretty emphatic. Other than like a few times that they breach because of the calamities. Ah! Ah!
スクープル感を出したいなと思って買ってきたんですが、結構書き進めてまして、日本語はほぼほぼ完成してるかなっていう。
Volume 3 is a go!
ただちょっとこうノリに乗って書いていたらですね、膨大なものがありまして、書いてるやんけ結局。これがですね、まあ表立って書けないところのこう。
I want more hype in the chat! Yes! And they even made it black! I always wondered if they do black or purple. Yes!
日英を同時発売したいっていう強い思いがあるんですけど、まあこれをパッチの合間に書いていただかなきゃいけないかなりの時間がかかると。でさらにこう日本でインスタ
Okay, let's get some translations in here. Okay, recently I've been writing less, but my responsibilities have shifted towards overviewing and world building. You brought something with you today. Yes, Eorzean, blah, 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 blah. I was right. A reprint of 1 and 2 was a test print. Yes, I wanted to show we were working on something. The Japanese text is almost finished, so you're writing after all this? Having the Japanese version translated into English is a lot of effort. But it's coming, guys! It's fucking coming! It's coming, baby! I'm moving my mic away. It's coming! Woo! The Japanese text is finished. In fact, almost finished. That is Dai, good to glad to have you. That is Encyclopedia Eorzea, Volume 3. It is the sequel to 2 of the most important lore text documents we have ever had on this game. There are not a lot, because they try to make sure everything is in the game and not outside the game. But every so often, there's important things that they don't necessarily put in the game and that end up elsewhere. And that ends up in these 2 tomes. And they just announced the 3rd one that we've been waiting for since circa 2018. So, we have been waiting 6 years, and we were kind of implied that there may not be another one. So this is something that we have waited for forever. It is gonna probably almost certainly be about on the first. A bunch of stuff on the first, especially if you look at that cover. But it also makes sense because Oda is saying that basically stepping away from main scenario writing and instead just focusing on the overworld and world building and stuff, which means he has time to do stuff like this, or at least more of it. We want to release the Japanese and English versions at the same time, but translating is taking time. Sorry for the extra work, translation team. Printing is also an issue. The quality of prints is a lot higher in Japan than in other places, so we decided to print everything here and then ship it overseas. But it is coming. Okay, now Ishika was introducing herself. Elio is highly lore sexual. That's just true. Elio get excited to choose and chose not to hide it. I'm not good at hiding it. Guys, this is so much bigger than this is. If you care about the lore of this game, this is huge. Not because we're gonna find out. It's partly because it's gonna codify everything we have in Shadowbringers into a text. But also there's going to be nuances and interesting things and small things, and also potentially metaphysics things that have been very, very nuanced that we may get more explicit information on and reference points to. And this is very helpful in terms of really clarifying certain points even for those people who know, having a specific text to cite and source to be like, here is why explicitly. It is. Oh, I'm sorry, Demins. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry I'm loud. I didn't want to buy Encyclopedia, but with a third tome, I might consider spending money on that. Here, I will say, they're now cheaper. They're going to, I think if they haven't already, they're going to release PDFs as their plan. I cannot tell you enough. It is worth it. It is worth grabbing them. They're not super expensive anymore. They used to be because you would have to either import or they were very rare. But they did a reprint just recently, and now you can get each one for like $40. They are incredibly lovely tomes, and if you like this game, they are wonderful reads and wonderful bits and pieces of information. I cannot recommend them highly enough. They don't like make a whole bunch of lore books for this game because they want to make sure all the information's in the game. So it's not something where they go willy-nilly and there's a bunch of stories, it's just like there's very few texts, and when they do make them, they go ham and make them incredibly nice. He is not. Val3's mother was already pregnant before Emmett Cell came onto the scene to make him Lightborn. Yes, that is true. What did Quinn ask? All I want to know is Val3 was the son of Emmett Cell. No, he is not. At least explicitly, he doesn't. I don't want to say explicitly that's not the case, but it is emphatically on the part of everyone in those scenes where his background is revealed, not implied to even be the case. I hope 3 will cover Endwalker stuff as well. I hope it doesn't. I really, 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 really hope Volume 3 does not cover anything about Endwalker whatsoever. I hope that it is just focused on the first and just the entirety of the first and only the first and just a crap ton of stuff on the first. And then we get a Volume 4 that is focused on Endwalker, because if you start splitting it, you're going to dilute the amount of information that you could contain on that. Okay, we got more translations. Ishikawa says, I was responsible for the 6.0 MSQ, as well as the 5.0. I have also written some side quests for 6.3, since it fit my field. Oh, that's very interesting. I wonder if it's to do with Dark Knight, or with Dynamis, or with that. There's a lot of reasons she could be implying that. She's also climbing the ladder more and doing more supervising work now. Interesting. Ishikawa's been getting promoted. We're often called scenario writers, but I would say scenario planners is a better fitting description. Yeah, that was always my impression. Now they're going to talk about the making of role quests. I want to know what Reen and Guy are doing while we're doing stuff. You can find them around sometimes, but they're being adorable. Yeah, Reen and Guy are being adorable. While 3 is the creation of Emmett Cell machinations, at least. He is a corruption. He's a byproduct of the machinations, in that he implanted the light within the child and basically effectively made him a sin eater. Yeah. But he was an entity that would have come into the world normally either way. And it's also part of the narrative too of the idea that monsters are made, not born, even when they're literally born. Reen and Guy are having hot coffee business. Yeah. My hope for 6.3 redacted quest would be to follow up to Shadowbringer role stuff, but that's mostly wishful thinking. I don't think it's wishful thinking. Joe, I think there's a solid chance you see that. I think there's no way that they can't touch on that. There's too much important stuff that they bothered building up with it. They have to. So I don't think that's wishful thinking. In fact, I would put my money that it's likely. Do you like what we do? Consider you showing your support and signing up for our Patreon. Thank you, Ray Ray. Much appreciated. Vision for previous job quests. To offer a story featuring the player's job in the spotlight, to provide additional sources of motivation to level other jobs. Now that Science have officially disbanded, could the 7.0 promo movies see an FMV Arbor reunite with the other warrior of lights from 2.0? Do you mean by Arbor? Are you talking about the Warrior of Light? I'm not sure, because Ardbert is a return to our soul. He is reunited with our soul, so he's effectively gone. Is Memoria an echo ability or a blessing ability, do you think? I don't think it's a blessing ability. Is it potentially an echo related ability? I think it's possible. I don't know that it is. It could just be a different form of magics, because we know that like magics, cross reflections can be weird and different. But we'll see. Meteors and Arbor, they just look similar. Well, they just look, yeah, canonically they look, basically the same. Other than, like, the goatee for Arbor. And well, obviously, at the time at which you meet him, you're in the Heavensward outfit rather than... But, I mean, like, the Heavensward outfit, you still... The Warrior of Light still looks like he does in 2.0. His face and appearance only start changing in Stormblood. But he has, like, the helmet and the, like, Dragoon armor and stuff. Oh my god, guys, I'm so fucking excited. I'm gonna just do a stream of reading the whole thing. Like, there's no question I'm gonna do that. I mean, I wouldn't expect to see it until, like, FanFest. I would expect maybe you'd see, like, physical copies being sold at FanFest or something at the earliest, because if they haven't started printing yet, that's gonna take time. That's just the logistics of that are gonna take time. Meteors and Arbor. Yeah, the Arbor from the trailers intro movies. Yeah. I would just call him the Warrior of Light because Arbor specifically is referencing the first guy, the guy from the first. But yes, yeah. I don't think so. I think the people from 2.0 are effectively gone. and I don't think will be referenced again.
絡むけど、彼らが何を成し遂げたのかもしくは。
And I think they're just a stand. They're always meant as a stand-in for our friends. Am I having internet problems? I'm gonna back up real quick.
5.0 のメイン全部クリアされた方はわかるんだけど、要所では
Nope, my internet's good. Meteor and Ardbert Soul are shard of Azem supposedly. Not supposedly, they are. They are. Meteor and Ardbert are both were parts of Azem. That's why they could connect back together. Yeah, no, Rory, you don't have to interpret that. That is explicitly the case. Baphomet, I'm literally buying the 2 first books right now. Awesome, Baphomet. They're phenomenal. And if you're buying them, you should come join our lore book club. We have it every Friday, except for this Friday, of course, the one time, because I'm going to back up a bit, because I don't know why, but for some reason, it's having trouble. Let's see, any new translations? Yes, we got, going into detail for everything is too much, so I will take the role quest from 5.0 as an example, because I have worked on these. Sorry, the woo from the substream made me giggle. Yeah, they heard my woo all the way over in Japan. During our scenario bootcamp for 5.0, we were saying that we already did everything we wanted with job quests and that we should swap to role quests. We didn't have space to show the stories and adventures that Ardbert and co went through during the 5.0 MSQ using the role quest. Using the role quest here was a really good idea. YouTube stream is lagging, so technical break. Okay, so they're taking a break, so we have time to talk. So it wasn't just me. Okay. I'm gonna talk to you guys for a bit then. It feels meaningful that we see permanent confinement and Moria crystals in the same patch where we see Hephaestus confined a similar way in the Unsundered. That's a really good point, Kadu. And I wouldn't I definitely wouldn't chalk that up to happenstance. There was a bit in the earlier live letter, in 6.2 live letter, that Yoshi-P was kind of like alluding to the fact that there was going to be a lot that harkened, like there was thematically connected between the MSQ and Pandemonium itself. Did you consider making a scream emote for the chat? And I'm not talking about the Pandemonium theme. I mean, to be fair, the hype emote is kind of a scream emote, but maybe, yeah. Just a picture of me like running and jumping, like throwing myself across the room. Why does everyone at Elpis say, wow, your soul looks like my friend's Azem? And why, yeah, exactly, Demens, yeah. I know it's up to using in terms of making our Warrior of Light. I'm honestly surprised how mentally sound we are after everything from Shadowbringers. Yeah, I think it's a real testament to our character. I want that Naming Way minion from Volume 1 so bad it's $50. Quinn, buy the book. I beg of you to buy the book. It is totally worth it. And if not, Quinn, we'll probably do a raffle, especially with Volume 3 coming out. We'll do a raffle, I think, of a copy of Volume 1 and Volume 2 for all you guys. And what I might do, I might consider doing a raffle with them and doing it so there's 4 things. There's the minions and the books, and that way those of you who just want the book or those of you who just want the minion can like apply for different ones. You doing the cane jump finishing sprite. Fucking phenomenal, Hydra. Okay, stream is recovering. So, a new proposal for job quest. Adventures in pursuit of fearsome foes gather in pub on the first where they await a comrade with skills to help them carry out their mission. Each of the 4 roles of tank, healer, physical DPS, I'm gonna go back because the translations haven't caught up. Each of the 4 roles of tank, healer, physical DPS, and magical range DPS have their own storyline and quests tailored to their specific roles. These storylines will ultimately offer insight into the legendary adventurers who joined Ardbert, the Warrior of Darkness, on his adventures. This is the pitch document, effectively, for role quests for like 5.0. One request I had was that I wanted to give players the artifact gear before finishing the story. I wanted players to have these when they will go into the final battle, which is great because you should be able to have like the trailer appearance when you go into the final fight if you're willing to get it. The Nutkin! Look at the Nutkin covering the screen to avoid spoilers. Yes, you said during the boot camp for the role quest. When was this picture? It must have been 3 years ago. Yeah, this was from 3 years ago. Which they would have probably been in scenario work for Endwalker or for 5.x at that point. The spoilers are just Thancred's bare ass. So just a night of D&D? Yeah, basically. The people important to us... yeah, Goku, exactly. People important to us, grounded, or so I like to think. Cute. Spoilers are just Thancred's bare ass. Spoiler Nutkin are truly godsent. Yep. Start by collecting ideas from the team before holding symposium. Interesting. Oh, maybe he has been around. He just hasn't been, like, he's been working in background a lot more. I've always done the MSQ as the poster job. Same, Henry, me too. The one, actually no, I tell a lie. The one time I did not was I did Heaven's Word when I played it as a Dark Knight. But other than that, I always have. I want to see Willow, of course you want to see Thancred's bare ass. I'm under the impression, until proven otherwise, that La Habrea was faced in AR to Heaven's Word. What? Faced? And what if Hydaelyn accidentally set him free? I'm not sure I was faced? What if Hydaelyn accidentally set him free? I'm not sure I fully follow. But also, his Aether was absorbed into not Excalibur, what the fuck was it called? Ascalon, I think. And so, like, it was broken apart. So his Aether would have returned to the Ethereal Sea, but concept. Stories themed around hunting angels, where players must lay low archangels that possess the bodies of warriors of darkness. Here, I'm gonna catch up the stream now. Anything new? Nope. Got nothing new yet. I can't help but think of 14 manga whenever the Nutkin is mentioned. Oh, look, it's Archangel. Yeah, Nutkin coming through protecting the goods once again. Dating sim never, if Yoshi-P has anything to say about it, based on how he likes to treat the characters. I mean, not never, but he seems to be very relatively against it, other than making jokes. But I mean, I don't think it's impossible, but I don't know that I'd want it. Hephaestus is probably who he's referring to. Yeah, I'm not impression till proven other. La Habrea was faced in AR to Heaven's Word. What if Hydaelyn accidentally set him free? I did Shadowbringers as a Gunbreaker instead of a Dark Knight. Nice. Ascalon, yeah. Let me love Horsefont, damn it. You can love Horsefont all you want. I just don't. There's a difference between speaking for Horsefont. Well, I'm okay. Look, if we go, especially go by JP Horsefont, we know Horsefont wants you, but that's. Yeah, actually did Shadowbringers as a Gunbreaker too. I mean, like, to be fair though, you know, Gunbreaker's new in that, so it's reasonable. It's reasonable. I'm telling Naniri Volume 3 confirmed. I gotta let, oh my god, this is so fucking exciting. I probably should have made the banner. I should have made the banner my face with how freaked out I was. Somehow I should have known. Nice to have an official confirmation that cardinal virtues are based off the archangels from 11. Yeah, to no one's surprise, but yeah, to have confirmation. Let me get the translations up. Nope, still no new translations. Sorry, what if AR to Heaven's Word was Hephaestus, not La Habrea, and the Sundering set him free? I think it's possible. I think it's possible. I think that's very, very, very possible. I do think that the version I like better is if it's Erechthonios. But I think that would make sense. I think that with what we know and his disposition, that would make a certain amount of sense. The only problem I see with that is that he doesn't seem to be following through with Athena's work. So the only reason to me that it would make sense if he's doing that is that he would be following through with Athena's work because he wants to return to the world unsundered, so that way he can continue it. Or, you know, maybe he changes just because of the sundering itself. Like, I think that's a reasonable theory. Did someone clip it? I don't know. Hey, actually, if someone wants to go clip it, I mean, feel free to go clip. Ray, if you could go clip it. I started playing in December and did everything as Dragoon, then switched to Reaper, so I didn't get sick of armor before final battle with Daddy Hades. Nice. I chose Gunbreaker more as a personality choice. I'm in the gun and weaponry type person. There you go. Yeah, whatever works for you. Honestly, the funny thing for me is I played Dark Knight and Paladin for Shadowbringers and Endwalker, not because I was trying to play the right class or right job, but because literally they were the jobs I was loving the most at the time and had been maining. So they were just matched up perfectly. I would cry if it did. Yeah. I think there's some reasons to think that our La Habrea might be Erechthonios, but I don't. It's now a little bit more up in the air as of Abyssos. Okay. Yoshi-P, we made a role quest completion a requirement to progress in the story for 5.0, which led to players being stuck and having to return to catch up with the role quest. So we changed this for 6.0, which I think was very smart. But for 6.0, they made it so if you wanted dyeable armor, you have to do it. And I think that's a way to make people incentivized to do it, but also not forced to. Currently, us three are overviewing a team that is the writing main story, so us three aren't writing the story ourselves in 6.1. Oh! Currently, us three are overviewing a team that is writing the main story, so us three aren't writing the main story ourselves in 6.1. That's interesting. So this team is basically, I think, working on 7.0 effectively, but they oversee the 6.1 team. That's very interesting. It also makes sense, though, right? Because they need to make sure that they're training the new blood to replace them as time goes on. And in order to do that, they need to make sure that they're allowed to make, like, real content. So allowing them to do patches with oversight is, I think, a really smart way to go about that. Not related to the stream, but what's the one or more city-states in 14 you don't like story-wise? For world quests? Or for MSQ Goku? I'm happy to answer, but it just depends on what's the context. Ara, good to see you, glad to have you. I was a black mage all the way from AR to Stormblood. I changed to Dragoon the moment Shadowbringer started as I fit my Word of Light better. Yeah, nice. If I could say one thing about Emmett Selk, it's that I have to give hats for being the only uncentered who has his sanity somewhat intact. I mean, but to be fair, did he? I mean, you think about Emmett Selk from as he was before, from his tempering and from his personality and disposition, and how the differences between that, and is he any less of a changed and different person in some ways than Elidibus was? You know, and it had lost himself in some meaningful ways. You know, I think he held on to himself more than anybody else, but I think even he lost a lot of himself all along the way. On Will, I went AR, MSQ Warrior, Heavenward Dark Knight, Sandbush, Gunbreaker. Atelier, you and me were almost identical. The only difference is I did Dark Knight for Shadowbringers as well. This team is responsible for making the scripts that we provide into the actual game. Yoshi-P, yes, things like placing the NPCs, the emotes, and coding all these things fall under this implementation team's responsibility. So that's the teams. You've got the scenario team, the implementation team, and the global team.
っていうのもあるし、とにかくもっとたくさんのその国の人にも遊んでもらいたいとか。As in the city, what happened in the story and its people? Then there's none that I don't like. I mean, like I love them all. Then, if you just mean that, like what happened in story, but that you're saying in story. But do you mean like the early part of MSQ? Do you mean like the entirety of MSQ? Because if it, you know, like, because if you're talking about like starting city, that's one thing. But other than that, no, I would just say I love all of them. Then, I think they're all wonderful and very different and very nuanced and have depth and a history to them. What if Eorzean got possession of Hephaestus, Soul Crystal merged together to become a new Labra? Took it over, the father retires. Yeah, I think something like that's possible. I'm led to believe that Hydaelyn researchers in Pandemonium Quest is Shard of Erechthonios. It's possible. I don't know that I would follow or buy that as what it's getting at, but I have nothing to suggest otherwise. He wasn't a quote, a megalomaniacal madman. Yeah, literally in his own words. We used to have a global team for the entirety of Square Enix, but since 14 is so successful, I pretty much requested my own team here. Koji is also part of the business unit 3 now. Yay! Koji's back. Laha from Panda and Laha we know really different, but our Laha's more impulsive, just like Eric when he teleported and asked the impost in the beginning of Abyss. It was just screams Eric and Laha. Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways they could play out Panda. I wouldn't try to get too far ahead of Panda based on how it's been going already, which has been wild. It's all compared to how he was in Elpis when he ended up in Shadowbringers is definitely a broken and lonely man. Yep. I thought Elidibus was a sundered fragment of Zodiark because they call him a primal. No. He was the heart of Zodiark. So the same way that Hydaelyn, Vana is the heart of Hydaelyn, Elidibus was the core, the heart of Zodiark. And he was able to pull himself from without it. So effectively, he both was a part of and the core around which Zodiark was built. Think like Jekt and Sin, kind of, in Final Fantasy X. Assuming that 7.0 will be set on the 13th, I don't think it will. I think it's going to be Mirror City or New World. I think that they're doing the 13th stuff now. I would see it set in another reflection. I think the MSQ ends with the reflections possibly being tied. The gates between them being opened with it as a boundary point. I don't think it's likely to be that the 13th is likely to have a map for 7.0. I could be wrong because I literally forever thought that was likelihood, but the fact that they're doing it in 6.x makes me think much less so. Machinist Ninja's the poster job. No, I think I think it's going to be a caster. I really do think it's going to be a caster because we've had an archer in 1.0, so we've had like ranged DPS. I think the one thing that we haven't had is a caster, and especially so, I would go with that. And I would also think like especially if it's in the 13th, you would think Black Mage. Kara, good to see you. Glad to have you. The former representative Lou showing let's catch up on. Nope, no new stuff. Rather than learn of the adventure, allow players to experience them. Here, I'm going to go back real quick because there was some interesting stuff on the board that I want to read out. How do we convey the journey to each warrior of darkness underwent?
The story of Final Fantasy XIV is centered around the Warrior of Light. Yet the adventures of the Warrior of Darkness took place 100 years ago in the first, well, before the players arrive. With only a limited number of quests available, we can share no more than a snippet of their journeys. Rather than learn of their adventures, allow players to experience them.
サプライズでやったんですけど、まあ詩を作っていただけたので、
I think the 13th storyline will be wrapped up before 7.0. I'm personally hoping for Mericidia. Demins, that is my gut feeling. But, you know, there's so many ways that they could choose to play it. The former to represent light, shooting light into the darkness, latter represent the moving more easily through it. Yeah, it's an interesting idea, Henry. It could be another Stormblood scenario split between Mericidia and 13th. It could be, but I would imagine that if that's the case, we would see that split between Mericidia and the New World, personally. But yeah, I think there's multiple ways they could split it. Could be Mericidia and another reflection if my idea is right, and the 13th is going to be the key to which they use to be able to engage with the other reflections. From because you think about how the walls between the 13th and the other reflections seem to be much weaker. We know it can connect to the first. We know it can connect to the first and the source, based on the role quests. So. He was still a primal, but he was no longer the primal he was turned into, but rather a primal made of his own soul, released according to the Stolas speak, though how is completely unknown. Yeah, it's very wibbly-wobbly on how exactly it functioned, but Hydra, you put it perfectly. 13th story will definitely wrap up in 6.5 and something new in 7.0. Yeah, and I do think it'll be a continuation and a fallout of its events, and I do think that the 13th is going to be important in, like I say, in how we connect to the other reflections and setting those up for future play. Cookie Maker, good to see you, glad to have you. I think they'll probably do more in the 13th than 8.0 and 7.1. Yeah, 100% agree with that. I actually don't even know that they'll do more in the 13th, so much as the 13th will become a bedrock for getting to other reflections, but I do definitely think that yeah, they'll do more in the 13th, or the 13th will play into 8.0, or, yeah, I totally agree with that. We still have so much of the source to explore. I also point out, historically, I have not called everything or called a lot of things correctly, so don't take my word, you know, just based in some roots and ideas. Source to explore, it just seems silly and unnecessary to explore more shards again when we just had Shadowbringers. I agree, Demins, and especially when you've got Mericity in the New World, and, you know, Endwalker, as much as it's terrestrial in some ways, is also, you know, we still haven't really explored most of Ilsabard other than, you know, the Garlemald, Worlet, and Baja, and those are, like, barely, you know, there's so much, you know, there's got now Mask, and Landis, and Corvos, and, like, there's so much to do there. I was a monk till Heavensward, where I changed to Red Mage, Fave FF job, became a headcanon that him changing the new class made him weaker than usual, allowing Telechi to subdue him in Banquet. Yeah, good rationalization. I'm curious about the story Arbor mentioned about doing labors for preparations of the Grand Feast, similar to the chores of Costa del Sol and the company of Heroes members. Yeah. How to fix the 13th? Shrink down Eden and shove him through the portal. I mean, Henry, basically that's what I've been saying forever. Though Eden's effectively no longer a tool that's really, but we've, like, even before the 13th was ever arrived at, like, I remember being in 5.x and being like, hey, we're going to go to the 13th. We know it can be fixed. We know that its restoration is a point of conflict. We know that Eden explains to us, like, exactly that Umbral and Astrality does not necessarily mean the end of Aether. So, Zodiac has got creation, literally. I think he can separate himself easily. I think he just stripped himself of big power, just walk around the skin of Ascians. That's a little bit. I don't think the game supports that reading of it, personally, Helionis. That's not really how he describes it. And the fact that Zodiark is, as an entity, fully its own power when Fandaniel goes into it and treats it as if, like, controlling it in its totality, and Elidibus does not have that. And he literally describes himself as utterly separating himself from Elidibus, from Zodiark. Okay, there is a role-playing battles were a new feature that allowed us to not just show cutscenes to the players for them to learn about the story, but rather have them experience the story themselves. There's an extra page in the Encyclopedia 3 that talks about the budget details as well. Oh, interesting. There's some production notes in Eorzean Volume 3. That's going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting. Oh, Ray, I see your message. Oh! Okay, I gotta show this. Ray just sent me a still. I look like a lunatic. Let me get translations back up. The background music is making everyone want to go back to their island, because the background music right now is the island music. The island doesn't run. Relax, everybody, relax. You'll get back to it eventually. Eden has a tree around it. Too much bother to move it. Isn't the next scribe still triggered by the fog and the wave map? I don't know. Sadly, I don't watch Scribe's videos a lot. They're wonderful. You should definitely check them out. But, like, I try not to watch other people's lore stuff because it affects, like, writing for my stuff. But you should absolutely go check it out. It's just wonderful work. I was Black Mage for AR Dragoon for Heavensward, and now I'm playing whatever the new jobs were for that expansion. Yeah, nice. And Nikolai says he wants to explore possibilities with Eden to help with the 13. Does he? I don't remember him mentioning Eden. That's really interesting. Nagsha, yeah, Nagsha. Well, you got Nagsha, Volnane, Dalmasca, and Fury. I mean, like, if we're talking about Othar too, you know, there's the Unpromised, the Aras, there's tons of stuff already on the map that exists. But yeah, they'll get the reason that Ilsabard's also clouded is to give them room to be able to develop more stuff if they want to put it there and make other interesting stuff, and also to not have to define the shape of certain places until they want to use them. Like, it annoys me at this point, but like, it's understandable. It's fine. We'll get there. The full image is in Discord. Yeah, it is a pretty good pog phase. That's true. Maybe we'll take that and I'll just make an emote of that face. Ellie Poggers. Why not just open a hole in front of Eden to distract the energies, but not big enough for Major Voidson to come through? Because like to tune that that level, the amount of the ability, like the surfeit of the sheer amount of aether that would make sense in order for you to change and alter the astrality. I don't think a portal would be able to maintain itself and the aether be able to pour through it without rending it apart. I don't think it would work like that, personally. I don't think that's how the metaphysics of the aetherology would function that easily. Gunbreaker's my favorite. Here's hoping Dalmasca gets an expansion all to itself. I doubt it, John. Good to see, glad to have you, by the way. I doubt it would get an expansion all itself, especially when we have Return to Evilies and stuff. I would suspect that we would get more history, though, for it, and we'll get more content with it in the future. It depends on they've got the Matsuno issue with, like, Matsuno wanting to be able to do that, a lot of that stuff, but I wouldn't, especially with, like, the importance of places like Volnane, I would definitely not count Dalmasca in that region out yet. And I would definitely assume that you may get more information because you'll get information around Baja Zadnor that will also touch on, you know, Lente's Tears and Dalmasca, and also the notes. Look, Ilsabard's just been having a bad weather for the last decade or so, as it'll clear eventually. Exactly. I was already in love with Dark, and I had heard Gunbreaker was similar since I normally DPS. I guess I shouldn't be surprised the more DPS tanks are my fave. Yeah, I mean, especially Gunbreaker is just blue DPS. It really feels like blue DPS in a lot of ways. Like, Dark Knight gets there, but, Dark Knight's because of the Blackest Night has, a little bit more... Elements will give us plenty of options for new expansion. Yeah, and he only just started scratching the surface. No one wanted to write the healer role quest because of the complexity and difficulty of the settings, so I had to do that myself, says Oda. Wait, Oda wrote the healer one? The healer one is one of the best. Unlike writing a novel, since we're in game development, the other things need to be discussed beforehand. So yeah, they have to worry about how things are going to interact and affect each other. So after 3 steps, you can finally start actually writing. So as a first step, we always look for volunteers and writers that want to take over specific quests once we decided on how they should look. Yes, if someone says they want to write it, we usually let them have it. Oh man, that sounds wonderful. I was a bard in ARR, Dragoon for Warrior of Light, Volume of Light, ran Still Shadowbringers, literally enjoyed the Paladin quest just for Endwalker. Yeah, Paladin quests aren't great. They're fine. They're not great. It doesn't help that, like, the last ones are Gladiator quests. They're not even... There's really only, like, 30 to 60 for Paladin quests. On topic of Arbor, I would like to ask if he had to kill his friends so that their souls could travel to the source. No, I was reading Encyclopedia, I had a line that made it sound like he did. Oh, that he had to kill them so they could travel to the source. Yeah, it is implied that may be the case, especially with Volume 1, that he may have been the one to execute his own friends in order to allow that passage. It's definitely implied. It's like the Jack of all trades, talking about jobs. Healer ones are my favorite, both Shadowbringers and Endwalker. It's my favorites for Shadowbringers. I don't know if I have a favorite Endwalker. And my favorite Endwalker might be melee DPS. Oh, the healer one's also pretty good. I don't know. I feel like the role quests for Endwalker are all pretty comparable for me. Main thing the Mandate mentions Mirror City and the Reflections, so it'd be new expansion more likely. In 12, we're already dealing with them. Yeah, well, but on almost we already got like the city, the water, the treasures beneath the bounty. That was 6.1. We still have the there are a lot of things he mentions that could definitely also be patch content. I played Ninja until Heaven's Word and Machinist the rest of the way. Yeah, I guess I never thought about the specific behind Arbor and his friends dying. Yeah, because they had to get rid of their bodies effectively to be able to travel. Stars Warrior for all of you everyone's just sharing their jobs. Fortunately, I need to have all the classes in expansion max before moving to the next one, causing me to be stuck as a warrior for my leveling needs. Interesting, Darwin. I honestly, this is why I always max get Omni before the next expansion drops. Came for story, stayed for glamour is literally me. Yeah, wait, so let me get... Sorry, I missed that, Goku. Stormblood and Shadowbringers finished the game as Reaper. Came for the story, stayed for the glamour, so much Fantasia. Goku, you and a lot of people in our community. you and a lot of people in our community. Fast Link, good to see you, glad to have you. That's really weird then because the game never implies that. Yeah, there's some things that the game just doesn't imply. It only ever like obliquely. It's like a major reveal that they died at all. That they had to die at all in order to do it. And sometimes, EE1 or EE2 gives you implications that are just not in the game at all. It doesn't happen super often, but it does happen quite a few times, and that's one of the reasons that we love it as a text. I was a warrior for AR and Heaven's Word and swapped to White Mage for the rest of them as key to date. Nice. Is there any FF that hasn't been referenced yet?
まあそんな余談でした。
余談でした。
はい。で、だからシナリオ執筆つったってそんな一口じゃねえよと。プロットを作り、でカットシーン用の演出時コンテを作り、ようやくその後にクエストの本文を
Nope, they've all been referenced. Nope, every single one of them. 16 haven't referenced 16 yet. I actually wouldn't be surprised if there is a reference to 16 that they already put in and we just don't know it. Because it sounds like Yoshi-P to me. Honestly, like 16 almost seems like it's referencing 14, if anything. I think I'm surprised they didn't fix in 2.0 rework as Thancred as a proper rogue rather than the gladiator with a dagger. If I'm not mistaken, Henry, I was just playing 1.0. There's actually a lore reason for that that's important. It kind of... Oh, there was something that was touched on. I think he was infiltrating. Oh, fuck it. I'm sorry, Henry. I don't remember what it was. There's actually a bit of lore around that it's not just an odd thing. That it's not just like an accident. When it comes to Glam, I'm silently hoped 9S coffer will be put into the game, including the fight unit. Well, I mean, with the flight units, you can get the ones in Baja that are might as well be. Think of all of them as been referenced, yeah. Also, I guess spoilers for me in stream because I only finished Tank and Melee. Yeah, there's gonna be. If you're coming into our live letter, you gotta be ready for spoilers. Ten hasn't got a ton of reference. I mean, we just had Anima. I mean, you know, one of the dungeon bosses for 10. Okay. Yoshi-P, since you have been given development for longer Ishikawa, you're still using the basic notepad app for writing. Ishikawa, yes. If you did Word or Excel, there'd always be an extra converting step, which you don't have with the notepad. I doubt there are many scenario writers in Japanese game development that use Word. Yoshi-P, my apology. Text, I always write in Word. Yoshi-P always uses Word. We need Blitzball, yeah. John, don't worry, John. I forget about shit like all the time, but yeah, like no, there are. I mean, there's also the Titus and Eunice sets for the costume. I think did you reference that already though? Costumes and minions, yeah. I'm forgetting what there are other references though, because 10's my favorite single player Final Fantasy, and I know that there's other things as well. But yeah, Anima is the biggest thing that comes to mind at the moment. The summons are called icons in 16. 16 has already referenced 14. It's not even out. I mean, plus the whole Red Moon thing, or like Red Star thing in 16. We need Blitzball. We do. How is 7 referenced? Oh my god, you put me on the spot for referencing it, but there's a lot of different things. I mean, not least of which is kind of the Gold Saucer in and of itself. It's referenced heavily with Materia, Livestream being a thing in the world. Yeah, it's Terms, Dalamud, the project for Meteor 1.0. Yeah. 7 is long mock job. Like, there's a lot. Asking me offhand, I know there's a couple people who have made videos on it. I would definitely recommend checking those people's videos out. Or there's a wiki entry that's not complete. It doesn't have all the things, but that I think there's someone put up a wiki entry that's pretty decent. That is most of the things. So that's always worth checking out. Yeah, oh, the weapons. Weapons are a good example. Yeah, the Advent Children, Veteran Awards. There's no X2 references to my knowledge. I swear to God there is. I swear to God there is, but I cannot tell you what. There's a whole weapons arc, yeah. Sometimes we finish writing for cutscenes before the other parts because those require extra time and cost to be made, which is not surprising. So like you would want to have the cutscenes done ahead of schedule because their timing matters for. So like this is the how they design stuff, right? Constructing the plot, so they're drafting plot meetings, fitting the details, scenario lead check, lore check. So you get everything, make sure everything checks out. Then you move on. And then you get the cutscene storyboarding. So everything's storyboarding. So you get like basically you're doing like previs, stuff like that. So implementation discussions, writing cutscene storyboard, scenario lead check, lore check, cutscene reading, implementation meeting. Well, I guess you wouldn't be doing previs. They probably don't. I don't know that they actually do previs type stuff. Though I swear to God, I've seen them block stuff out before. I know that they blocked out like the Tesleen scene. So then that moves on, and then you get to the actually writing the quest tag, drafting, read through, scenario lead, lore check, implementation. So it's like notice there's 3 lore checks, right? Lore check all along the way. It tells you like how important it is to try and make the lore consistent and make sense to them. They usually make Xanarkin, Underwater Ruin, and Northern Empty. Yeah, John, they could. I would personally hope that they create a reflection that is Spira inspired. But I definitely think, yeah, Northern Empty Xanarkand ruins. I'd be super fucking down for that. That's a great idea. Sipping tea in Horny Jail. Imagine getting Aerith and Tifa costumes in the Mog Station. Is there not already? And if there isn't, then people would run wild with that. Underwater Xanarkand is basically Amarot. That's very true, Atelier. You even look at how Amarot is shot and a lot of the vibes. Like, yes, the architecture is different, but the fundamental conceits and idea behind Amarot and Xanarkand is very, very similar. I think you could definitely argue that there's a high likelihood Xanarkand did inspire Amarot. Since this is YouTube, we are contractually obligated to say like, share, subscribe, comment, and join. If you like, it helps. If you share, it also helps. If you subscribe, well, that helps, but also just alerts you if you like our other stuff. If you don't like our other stuff, no need to subscribe. You can comment. That is also very helpful. And then also, if you join, it gives us a couple dollars and you get fun emotes. For those of you who do emotes, emote time. Yojimbo is also an a 10 reference. Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, if you ask me off the top of my head, my brain goes blank. But there are tons. According to the wiki, there's only one reference to X2, but it's lumped in with the character reference from X. Well, yeah, so effectively just an X. Good to know, Darwin. Okay, maybe I'm wrong then. Maybe there is an X2 reference. Yeah, but Demins, that Yojimbo design that they use is like the 10 design, and his dog. Why am I forgetting his name? Daigo? You know, I know you guys take pride in your work as well. You never let something to be checked by me without having it checked first yourselves. Oh, that's a very cute picture. Okay, they're moving on to talking about Pandemonium. So they're going to talk about Pandemonium and a little bit about how they, I think how they write it is what it seemed to be hearing. As you said, it isn't super up to date, so there may be more just subtle. Yeah, I confused Yojimbo with good old Greg. Is it really strange how they don't have many costume sets for characters from other games, since those would sell really good? Yeah, I think it's a combination of time and making it work in 14, and also like not wanting to put a bunch of stuff in the cash shop all at once. I know that Yoshi-P is really uncomfortable with that. It's like why they didn't make it so you couldn't see the cash shop in game for a long time until they made it so you could go to your own bed and check it out. Xanarkand doesn't have a DMV like Amarot does. You don't know that. You don't know that. But also, yes. Surprised the Garleans didn't make Vegnagun. I think there's a good chance we see a Vegnagun style thing sometime. I mean, honestly, there's a little bit that the weapons quest line almost feels a little Vegnagun-y, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like Vegnagun I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like Vegnagun come out of something to do with Agalea and like what's trapped behind the those gates. Technically, there's an FF Tactics costume in the Evil Choices. There's actually multiple, if I'm not mistaken. There's at least multiple 12. Okay, Pandemonium. It was my wish to bring back La Habrea. I felt like we didn't discuss the character in depth yet. Family was a key word that I had in mind when making this. Oh, okay, I see. Who is La Habrea in public? You know, his role on the convocation. Who is he in private? His role with, you know, Echthonios, his son. No. What if 7.0 is an exploration of expansions? You can choose the order you do it, and you have a choice between 5 or more quest lines to do different zones. I wouldn't like that, Dino, but I think some people might. I personally am not huge in favor of that. I think it's more meandering, and I like them. I think that 14's at its best when it's more like telling a story, focusing, and having a drive. But I can definitely see benefits to that, and there's a reason why like some other games do stuff like that. Hey, here's the thought. What if they make role quests with Xenos? I mean, since Xenos is gone, I wouldn't expect them to. So I'm not sure how they would do that. I mean, the teaser picture aged really well because when it first revealed, I thought it didn't make sense at all. I mean, like, we always knew it was gonna be explained as we went, but yeah. I've been wanting to see another super weapon piloted ominous pipe organ. Haven't we all, Demins? Is there a Garlean gunblading game? No. I think we looked, and there's some skins that get close, but I don't think so. I think specifically the gunblades don't actually exist as skins, if I'm not mistaken. More like La Hebrea. Am I right, fellas? Eyes are getting heavy to keep open. Okay, Roria! Plus, bridal picnic for a friend in 10 house. Have a great night, Roria! Imperial Magitech saw back from the Tower of Babel. Yes, that's the close one. Okay. Vegnagun is a world-ending machina. I doubt Garlemald will be capable of making such a thing. I mean, they made the weapons. And the weapons, I mean, are pretty fucking powerful. I mean, obviously not Vegnagun, to be great. But from a logistical standpoint, Ancients, on the other hand, could. Yeah. Yeah. Or if you thought of like the fact that Hydaelyn possibly made the 12 as guardians, she may have made an even more powerful guardian that she couldn't get rid of and put too much of her power into it at some point. Diablos armament is the closest thing we have to Vegna gun. Yeah, I think Diablos armament is the closest thing that is to Vegna gun. I think that's definitely fair. Would you be interested in Chemist as a limited time job? Yes. As a limited job? No, I think that Chemist could be a full job. I think you can make a full range DPS out of Chemist. I don't think you need to make it a limited job. I would make it so you would craft your attacks, although they would have HQ versions you could craft them. The problem is crafting them in the middle of battle is the struggle, right? And if you craft them ahead of time, how different is it really than Blue Mage? You know? I would definitely say I would prefer, my version of Chemist is definitely, think like Engineer from Guild Wars 2 or something like that and make that into a job. When people want to make glam dress and Garlean armor, glam dressing and Garlean armor gets weird. We've talked about it a little bit on the channel. I think they would allow it eventually, but there's a lot of complications, when you think about what that means as a symbol. But there is already stuff like that in the game, so I wouldn't say it's impossible or even necessarily improbable. Yoshi-P. Initially, we were under a bit of time pressure here, but we caught up nicely for the 6.2 part of the story. Interesting. That's very interesting. That 6.1 was kind of written under pressure. The non-org gear looks like Judge gear is probably the closest thing we have to Garlean armor. Yeah, it's the closest thing we have currently, I would say, definitely. But the thing is also, Judge gear does have a connotation, but it's not quite the same connotation as like Imperial Garlean armor as, and especially when we're just coming into peacetime. But again, they've allowed stuff that maybe would be like kind of ambiguous as to like maybe if it, seeing it in world be kind of weird, not just like weird, but like dark. So I think it could happen. So I've often thought about combat-capable variants of Department of Hand classes after seeing Julian Manderville. Yeah, I feel like other than as joke jobs, I don't know that we'd see that, because at that point, just make a Department of the Hand or make a, combat job. And the other thing I would say then too is you take away from the joke of her being able to do that, right? I would really not like it if you could glam up the Final Fantasy IV version of the Nazis. That'd be awkward as hell, especially nowadays. Yeah. Yeah, it's complicated. Although, actually, I'm not sure I would say Nazis, though, because, like, fascist, absolutely. But they weren't also proper... Nazi becomes interesting, right? Because of, like, did they apply genocide tactics? And because absolutely fascists, no question. Like defining trait there. But it's interesting as to, like, and obviously there's a lot of Third Reich coding. Even when you think about the way in which they handle, the people had, people of Garlemald proper, sheltered from the events, supporting what they, this thing that they thought was right, and then suffering the consequences as it's brought to their doorstep. It's interesting. I'm curious what Quintus looked like with his helmet on. Oh, with his helmet on. Yeah. I wonder. Yoshi-P, because of the way we're designing content, every team has to be involved at some point because the scenario is important for everything. Boss design, map design, even the music. So they're all working together tightly as a team. First circle, a young man from the depths transfigured by creation magics. That's interesting. Because didn't he be transformed himself? A creation imprisoned within Pandemonium, creation within prison in Pandemonium. The fourth circle, the ruler of Asphodels, twisted by the blank of blank. Hello, what do you mean twisted by the blank of blank? I mean, what we're told is he's twisted somewhat by Hephaestus. Guys, could that be that he's twisted? Well, I mean, it could be twisted by, the other half of La Habrea. But why blank it out? I mean, it's a live letter, Why not just say... Interesting. What game glam crossover we want to see? Like if you could see Final Fantasy 14 do a custom crossover with the game outside of Square Enix or another Square Enix game. I would rather it not do any. Typically, I don't like when like I hate how much cross game stuff stands out. So I guess maybe there is something, but anything that I would pick I would want it to look as if it didn't come from another game. Let me think. I'll have to think about it. Isn't it stated several times they exterminate the tribes? Yeah, well, and also Dalamud project. So Demins, I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, if you think about Dalamud itself is effectively a genocide project. So yeah, I think you're right. I think you are right, and then that is applicable. And it was systematic, and we also know it was approved by Gaius, or not Gaius. It was approved. It was unapproved. Gaius did not like it. It was approved by Solus. So yeah, no, I think you are right, Demins. Varus was about to apply genocidal tactics with Black Rose. Yeah, and also Black Rose. Ironically, we have Xenos' thing for nipping the rose in the bud. Yeah. Well, Black Rose is interesting, right? Because his Black Rose would have been a genocide thing, but arguably it would have also been a frontlines battle tactic. It's more comparable to mustard gas, really. I mean, like war crime, no question. And I'm not trying to quibble. I'm just more like just thinking about, you know, the totality of it and like exactly what intents were. And but I mean, the Dalamud project itself, the intent was to wipe Eorzean from the face of the world and rule from the ashes. So you know, I love Pandemonium since it was a more subtle reference. It takes the base concept from 2, i.e., the place where all the demons are, but makes a new interpretation of it that's unique to 14. I mean, that's the thing. That's what I love about 14 is that when they reinterpret it. Will of Athena. Oh, yeah, that would make sense. Screen caps. There will be a crossover. I want either Crystal Chronicles or Bravely Default. Crystal Chronicles I would prefer over Bravely Default, but I'm also not I like both, but I'm not an overly huge fan of them. So I'm, you know. Consider it killed everyone. I'd call Black Rose an Omnicide project, right? But the thing about Black Rose being an Omnicide project is it was only an Omnicide project because they were unaware of its ultimate effects, right? And there is a difference between them using it knowing it's going to kill everyone and them using it thinking it's going to have a limited specific scope of effect because they don't realize the umbrality of the aether around the world is the way it is. So like that's part of my point, right? Is their intentionality, at least there in talking about their will to genocide, is relevant if we're talking about them mass exterminating. It doesn't mean that they haven't done those same practices and that they wouldn't have necessarily used Black Rose in that capacity, but you know. It's the weirdest question I have in the Doom timeline. What would happen if Varus, when he found out what happened in Black Rose? In the 8th Umber Calamity Fall timeline, I'm pretty sure Varus is dead. I would just assume Varus is definitely dead. Black Rose is probably a counter to common FF2 reference, Wild Rose and all that. Maybe. The intention of Black Rose was just a new battlefield weapon, but thanks to Assi machinations it ended up, oops, all dead. Yeah, because the umbrality of the world was tilted too heavily. Bravely armor would be wild in this game, as it fits perfectly, definitely more than most Garo gear armor. Yeah, Garo gear I think works. Garo gear works well enough. It's not super out of place, but it definitely is like it's not like super in place. Didn't Pandemonium and 2 get sealed away by Ultima? I haven't played it in 2 like in 20 years. That makes me wonder if the Heart of Sabik was involved originally with Pandemonium. My running theory is that it is, and that's why La Habrea knew about it. I personally think that we're going to find out something about the Heart of Sabik even in the final final part of it. But you know, I thought we were going to find out something about it in Abyssos, and I was wrong. So. Considering the deployment of Black Rose heralded the 8th Umber Calamity, I think it's basically a moot point. No, but it's not, because our point is talking about what their intentions were and what the practices of Garlemald were and whether or not they intentionally applied genocide projects. So I don't think it's a moot point. I think it is very relevant to that as a topic. I think the ultimate outcome of it is a fucking moot point. I totally agree on that. But when we're talking about the nuance there, it is relevant. No, AC Pandemonium is literally just the Palace of Hell brought towards the surface by the Reborn in permanent days after he conquered Hell. We still don't know what the Heart of Speak actually is. We just know it's an Orsite with something incredibly powerful within. That's why, but it's been a running mystery forever. And we know that they've, Oda has mentioned in the past that there are answers to it. Or maybe it was Koji, I can't remember. Okay, more translations. I'm scared of saying too much, but I want to go on a roller coaster of emotions. I can't promise tears, though, referring to the story of Pandemonium. But for now, we're really important message. We're hiring! Please join our, they're hiring. If you speak Japanese and you want any of these jobs, try applying. You have to be fluent and excellent in written Japanese, and you do not need game development experience to apply. Which is one of the things that's really interesting about their team. They take people with no game experience. We know it contained the spell Ultima. Yeah. Is Sabik even a person or a place such mysteries? Yeah, we don't even know if like it contained the spell Ultima, but we don't know if like there was something contained within it that was able to cast Ultima. We don't. It's a complete mystery. Ultima was sealed in the Tower of Mysidia. Yeah.
ご応募いただけると良いんじゃないかなと思います。さらにですね、今のはゲームデザイナーの募集なんですが、まだまだ募集しております。14さらに規模を上げてまいります。マーケティング、まあこれマーケティング PR をやっていく
They're also hiring more people, marketing planners, environment artists, VFX artists. Guys, they're fucking revving up for 7.0. It is an exciting time to be a Final Fantasy 14 fan, I will tell you what. I mean, that's the thing that I feel like that was the thing I remembered like during 5.x. I was so excited for Endwalker, and the whole time I was just thinking like, and yet this is such an exciting time to be a fan for what comes after, because there's so much left in the world to explore. There's so much left. There's Mericidia and the New World and the Reflections and, you know, Eorzean and the, you know, Unpromised, the Aras, the Northern Empty. I mean, further into the Northern Empty with, you know, like Eorzean, but also the Blind, you know, the Blind Frost, and, you know, you got, you know, the South Sea Isles. There's just like, you know, and basically the entirety of Ilsabard and so much of Othard left, and just like, there's so much left and so much wonder to be found in this game, man. I will tell you what. I'm just waiting for King Mickey to come in and cast Stop Za, and then for Donald to come in and cast Zetaflare. I always thought of something akin to Oversoul. Sabika is someone who piloted Ultima. Sabika is someone who piloted Ultima back in Allied time and just went so well served their empire. No, because remember, explicitly we get information from La Habrea that even Allied did not understand how to work with it or make it function, and they were just basically trying to copy it. And the fact that, well, you know what? Okay, to your point, it just seems odd that La Habrea would bother using that name, but yeah, the Heart of Sabik. I don't know. I don't think that's the craziest theory, but I feel like the nomenclature of that to me implies something much more else. Like, it was like the Heart of Ultima. That would be something, right? But I wouldn't. But it's the Heart of Sabik. But that is a really interesting take. I've never heard that. John, good to see. Glad to have you. I really want to see a stable gateway to the first. I think the 13th is that source. The 13th is the function by which you can make. We will be able to make lasting entrances into the first and the other reflections. I mean, like, literally that has been the setup for fucking forever. Basically, we've been theorizing that since Eden, but then also, like, it's literally Yashtola's story. It's literally, like, it's going back to the first. It's just a matter of time. And maybe they'll find another way, but like, we know that there's the void connects into the first as well as the source. So if you imagine that, you could potentially use it to connect into all the other reflections as well. Oh, Henry, I made that joke. The second I saw him the first time I was playing Endwalker, I made that exact same joke. Yeah, he definitely was Norded. I literally was talking to a friend about that last night. Perhaps connecting the two crystal towers. Maybe. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be connected that way, because I think it's going to be the grounds by which we're going to get to other reflections as well. I swear, if we don't visit Eorzean within a lifetime left in this game, so help me, Hydaelyn. Atelier, you and me both. Bros. 7.0 is going to be rough going through the graphics update, having your revamped characters right beside an NPC that still hasn't been updated. Yeah, I think it'll be pretty okay. I think it'll be a fun time, and it'll be like an awkward teenage phase for a little bit. Okay, now announcements. Additions to the NADC expansion. 13 by Half-Life Zen, essentially. Sabik to me feels like the original purpose for the spell Ultima, with the Heart of feeling like an oversoul resource was one of the base, but different. For instance, the heart has to charge up. Yeah. Border world used for midway point and teleportation. Exactly, Greencast. Achan says a theory La Habrea intended to use the heart to destroy Pandemonium had he gotten his way originally, that it was developed as a failsafe protocol. Is any chance? Yes. Is it likely? I will tell you, after Abyssos, I don't think we should necessarily like try to assume that we know exactly how this is going to play out in the end. Oh god, it's Cursed Way. He's back! I just hope that the people that first don't die before you still manage to get there because of how time works there. No, so Baphomet, right now, they are still in the first and the source are still in co-synchronarity. And it's possible, we don't know, but it's possible that the connection point between the Crystal Tower and the source has kind of fixed that, so that they're actually stuck in that synchronicity. It also seems, based on the comments from that we got about the 13th and how the timeline of the history of the source and the timeline of the history of the 13th on a macro scale seems to be actually pretty comparable, means that on a macro level, the amount of time that has passed between the reflections and source may actually be relatively similar. Hey! Yay! Las Vegas, Nevada, July 28th, July 29th, we're going to FanFest. Who's going into Fest? Las Vegas! Oh, I gotta add Issa. He's gotta get tickets. 29th. Europe! I want to say that I'm going to go to that one, but I don't actually. Maybe. I got someone I got a touchstone I might contact. I might try to go to all 3 fan fests. I might genuinely try to go to all 3 fan fests. My life's a weird life now. Here. Let me double check. Wait, LA? Didn't it say it didn't say... Am I crazy? Las Vegas. Yeah, no, it's Las Vegas, not LA. Please tell me that ain't Soken and Curse Loperette Glam. No, it's Foxconn. I cannot make it. I'll not be able to afford tickets for both it and a round trip. Well, we will definitely be at the NA one, and we will be covering it. I will be there covering it both days, and I will be uploading information and stuff that we find out there. Now, I'm not the only one, obviously, but I'm sure other people will be loving to cover that. I don't think I can afford to attend one, but I'm happy with people regardless. Well, I would love to talk to you guys at least when we're there. 2 days before your birthday. Nice, Henry. Didn't Ross say when we arrive for now our timelines are aligned? Yes, he does. He says that we read co-synchronicity. As to why there are multiple guesses, but I think what he did may have caused some of that. That is speculation on my part. Japan is not fine for this. Will be in person. This will be in person, not online. But maybe not. But give me 1 second. Imagine if Loperette outfit and Mask were on an outfit and they released the game of the future, the horror. Expansion announced there? I think expansion announcement, yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a prelim trailer, like a 2-minute trailer that's a shortened version of what the 7.0 trailer would be. That's quite possible. I don't know that's certain. Maybe we'll get in Japan, maybe we'll get, but I would suspect it's very likely we would see that. Very likely, not a certainty. It depends though. One of the interesting things about that though is that you see the Japan one is in early 2024. It may be that they want to do the full trailer in 2024, which means, guys, there's a solid chance 7.0 is 2024. There's a good chance that may be what they're doing on the timeline for it. Be ready. Scaring away outfit the next Halloween event glam. I don't think they ever do a fan fest without an expansion announcement. I don't know off the top of my head if that is for sure true. I'm pretty sure that is true. So I just wanted to hedge my bets on that. Finally, a fan fest with people to applause and cheers during the presentation. Yeah. Last fan fest was pressing the sound without a physical crowd. But it also was wonderful that they still had it. And I can tell you, I had a wonderful experience watching it at home with friends. It was beautiful, and like having Soken come out and Lahi, dude, they did a wonderful thing without people. But yeah, it's gonna be very exciting. This will be the first one I've gone to. Okay, we were fast enough in Europe and NA, but Japan is proving difficult to find the right location. Today is just the announcement that we're doing this. More details soon. Hey, we were talking about this. The Reaper category, grand prize winner, Avatar Scythe by Aichi. Oh, that's very pretty. Guys, these are the contest winners for Reaper and Sage, because they held an extra contest for them. That's interesting. That looks like a weapon from like a Dota 2 or something. Or I mean, like, it's not quite Bloodborne. It's not. It's a little too twee. Not even twee's not the right word, but it's not quite Bloodborne-y. It's very much almost like Halloween from Guild Wars 2 in like its aesthetic. I'm feeling things. I really say with the reveal title expansion, we don't need a trailer just yet. Well, I mean, remember that is going to be, we're talking July 2023, right? We're talking about, what? So 9 months away from now, more than that. Ooh, some fucking fairy wings for y'all, ya fairy people. I don't care for them one bit, but they are lovely for those of you who like that aesthetic. Vampire Zone from WoW Shadowlands, yeah. Come on, let the next new list be for me. Let the next new list be my love. Fuck, it's a joke. Well, I hope that I hope I like the Relic new list. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of hate choke weapons. Unpopular opinion. I like that you guys love them though. I would love those fairy new lists as a set of lamps, but not so much as weapons. Can someone explain to me how 7.0 announcement works for FanFest? This is my first time seeing the hype. Yeah. So what will likely happen is at the NA FanFest, they're going to announce the 7.0 is title, and as well as the trail. They're going to release a trailer that will probably be around 2 minutes roughly, and it'll be a shortened version of the a shortened version of what the final trailer will be, and then they will reveal the final trailer likely at NA FanFest or JP FanFest. That's not for sure. That is just one way it could play out, but it is what will probably it is likely to happen.
そうですね。いよいよまあやっぱり皆さんそのハウジングやってらっしゃる方
Any translations?
欲しいと思う。
Nope, no translations. That's basically what you see, what you get right now. You got E3 Leo. You can't have everything. You know, you're right, Demons. To be fair, this is like I got what I wanted. Like I wanted EE3. In this moment right now, I want EE3 more than I want 7.0. Like, that's not going to be forever. And that's also because I'm so busy lately that I haven't had time to like replay every piece of story content that I want to. So I need more time before 7.0 comes out, please, for the love of God. But I definitely correct 50 polyester, 50% con. Oh, this is them just correcting merch information. But yeah, right now FF like E3. Fine, I've been waiting to do Shadowbringers content and lore content until E3 came out. This is going to now make me want to like ramp up into doing it, and I'm very, very excited. Since Ninja's the only job left with its own armor category, scouting, what are the chances of one to do? High. I would say very high. My opinion is that the two most likely jobs that we were going to get for the next expansion are going to be 2 DPS, and it's going to be 1 scouting, sorry, it's going to be 2 DPS, and I think it's going to be a caster. I definitely think it's going to be a caster. I think one of them is going to be a caster, and I think the other is going to either be a ranged DPS or a scouting melee. I think it also could be a ranged scouting. I think there's like multiple ways to play that, but I definitely think it's one of those 3, and I really strongly think it's going to be a caster is going to be one of them. Hype for in-person manifest. Yeah, me too, Brian. I'm so excited. How are you? Good to see you. Glad to have you. And if you're going, I'll see you there. I'm doing very good. We're getting the E3. It's very fucking exciting. And FanFest finally announced. Me and Issa have been planning for that, and I have a friendly plans with some other people at FanFest who I've not seen in a long time, so I'm very excited to go. And I have not been to a con in forever, partially because I haven't had people to go with, and it's just not fun to go alone. And and like also I enjoy like production more than I enjoy like just being a consumer fan. And so like it's weird, but now I like have such a good reason to go, and I'm gonna be there with friends. Yeah, it's very exciting. Join our YouTube channel for the low price of not much a month. You get custom emojis, special badges, and the warm fuzzy feeling of supporting your favorite archivists. Thank you, Ray Ray. There will not be a new caster because there will be another summoner rework. Troll face. I appreciate the troll face, because otherwise I'd like to take you at face value. But yeah, no, like the thing is, like the job that needs to rework the least is summoner. It's in a perfect place to start adding extra layers onto. So like, Summoner's in such a good place going into 7.0. I don't want Paladin to get a rework. I really don't want it to get a rework. I really enjoy playing Paladin currently. But they want to rework it, and honestly, I am excited to see what they do with it. And it's also like it's not even quite button bloat, but it's just got a lot of cruft. So I mean, now's a good time. Now's as good a time as any. Next expanse title is Dawnbreaker, I'm sure. Maybe. Isn't it rework for 6.3? Yes, I think that's what they said in the like feedback notes. E3 for me is just going to be going through the Vobert pages. I kid. I'm also interested in the other area lore. Atelier, I will happily. Atelier, when I have Vobert lore questions, I have every intention of not going to the wiki. I have every intention of just messaging you, because I love that there are like certain topics that you're just like, nah, man. Ro life is my life. If you need me, I got you, fam. Fester makes no sense anymore because there's nothing to fester. I mean, there's people's bodies. I'm surprised that they haven't added soul sides from Soul Eater as a glam item since it's Squeenix imprint. I think the thing is they don't like to do the thing is like there's a lot more complications other than just that. There's also rights issues and all sorts of stuff that aren't even just like about who owns it screenings. There's also like the different departments may not like have the same things. They may not like the aesthetic. They may not want to, you know, unless it makes business sense. Or they may not put the energy and time into it as a cross promotional event. Like there's a bunch of stuff that can help that rather than just being like, oh, we own it, let's throw it in. Yeah. In B4, Blitzball Scout is one of the new jobs along with sports itself as a game. I will say this, a very unpopular opinion. I desperately would love Blitzballer as a range job, as a range DPS job. I want that. I definitely want that. I love Waka. I love Final Fantasy X. I want Blitzball in Gold Saucer really bad. I would play the shit out of that. Yeah, I'm super pro that. I don't know that it's likely, but I do think you could justify it being like a game that's from Mericidia that no one knows out in the 3 Great Continents, or the game from the New World that no one knows out in the Great Continents, or something like that. And that's why haven't heard of it or something. But definitely Blitzballer I would adore as a combat job. Riskbreaker Evilise returns again with added Vagrant story. It depends on if they'll do stuff without Matsuno, you know. But where will you carry your ball when it's sheathed? I think you just carry it at your side. You know what? Helios, I think that's like the best counter argument to that job that I can possibly think of. Toss it on your back, have like a ball holder. Yeah, like at your waist or on your back. I think there's a couple ways you could play that, but no, I think that's a really good point. Or you just hold on to it. Well, no, because he still that would make some animations probably weird. Yeah. Let's check C translation. The lyrics to Scream should be on Lodestone by the end of the next week. Awesome. I'll finish my lyrical lore. I was just in the middle of writing that last night. All Saints Wake, second time this year? Yeah. Oh right, because All Saints Wake was in like January or February of 2022 from last year. I forgot that happened. Yes, Ray, you do have work to do. Indeed. 19th is the Halloween event. Yep. 10/19. Blitzball's sheath should just be casually spinning on your finger whether stationary, walking, or sprinting. February, yeah, I'm so happy. Yep. Blitzball itself is a team weapon, or could be paired with a sword like Titus, could be a unique set with sword and ball. I feel like the ball's enough, and I feel like the ball allows it to be like a range job specifically. I feel like you're just adding like extra elements a bit too much when you go beyond that, you know? I think the problem with your waist is you're going to have major clipping issues, and you're going to have to check most cutscenes in the game. On your back, it's a little bit easier because they've already checked all the Dark Knight cutscenes. The other issue, though, is figuring out how to not have it clip into your armor. But I guess if it clipped a little, it's fine. Okay, Oda is talking. Announcement, son. Closing words, please. Oda says, I'm happy I was able to say everything I wanted to say. The most important message was that we're hiring. Okay, I guess they're really emphasizing their hiring. So that's very exciting, because that bodes well for the future. Our Warrior of Lights teach us how to blitz. Teach us how to blitz. On your head. Just like you're just like bouncing it on your head just like over and over again. Deflate a blitz ball that you can play every time you draw. Yeah, every time you just go like, even if it's made of steel. I'm going to get Vamp Vest to finish up Bravely Glam I made. The Vampire job outfit for males is nearly identical to it, even with the back collar, just a longer cape. Nice! Cool, Hydra. D. If any one of the things we talked about got you interested in, that will have made everything worth it. And I can tell you, there are quite a few things they have said that I am interested in. And I also really love that they talk about their like production design, like the effort and the like layers and the time it takes and the checks it takes. You know, like you don't just like, we write it and we put it into the game. You know, like it takes effort, it takes time, it takes work, it takes checks, it takes, you know, teamwork. Ishikawa says, I'm happy we were able to talk a bit about the new system we have for writing the scenario. Please, everyone, enjoy the rest of the 14-hour broadcast. What are you drinking? It looks like Coke. It is. It is vanilla Coke. Should the AoE attack for the Blitzball be a spike into the ground, creating a shockwave? Because I find the idea of bouncing between targets to be impractical animation. Actually, it shouldn't be that impractical. As long as clipping isn't a problem, that's actually pretty easy to make work. Although some weird shit could happen, admittedly. You know, the other thing you could have happen is like you could just like kind of like chakrams in it, where you just spin around with it or something. What the hell are they gonna do for 14 hours? A bunch of different shit. He's drinking a high potion. You know it, AC. I'm wearing 2B gear for Saints Wake, even though I'm leveling Astrologian Ishgard. 2B blasphemy. Well, this is a welcome surprise. Des, good to see you. Glad to have you. After getting off the closing shift at work. Yeah, EE3. We're getting EE3. Encyclopedia Eorzean Volume 3. That is the biggest news from this. Like, just not even a question. There's not even a question. Actually, Ray, if you're here, do you mind? Could you help me? Could you like draft a little thing that we can post to YouTube? I want to post like a little like excitement thing, and then also like a poll of whether or not people are gonna buy it or not, or something like that. Hironobu Sakaguchi is making an appearance. Yes, him and Yoshi-P are gonna be talking. We didn't have a patch review in a long time, and it made me think that PLLs could be a bit more relaxed than they usually are. And as the others have mentioned, we're hiring. Please enjoy the other segments of the stream. PLL is done. Thanks for following. I'm gonna hang around a little bit for here, and I think I'm gonna talk to you guys just for a little bit here, as we wind down. But I'm not planning to stay on for the whole live letter, or not live letter, the whole stream, as some of it's kind of fluff. The person in the middle, what's she wearing? Ishikawa? Let's see. What was Ishikawa? Oh, that's Ishikawa, and she is wearing... I don't know. I don't know what that is. Oh, that looks like a... No, because those are the masks of the ancients, so that looks like it... That looks like it might have been Final Fantasy XIV merch. I don't know if it may have ever made it to the Americas, because you can see, like, Emmett Selt's masks in there. I think it's like it's a Hades, like, sweatshirt, basically. I don't know if they ever sold that here, though. That may be something that they only sold in Japan. I want to point out again, as I think we missed it, the first scythe was one inspired by the Reaper avatar. Yeah! Looks like it, too. Thanks, Hydra. We have those volleyball animations from the Hildebrand quest. Yeah. Hades hoodie. Yeah. Oh, man, if they announced Sakaguchi would help write some questline for 14, I'll be so happy. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens at some point, if Sakaguchi helps out. On something, you know, collabs on something. Oh, I have that hoodie as a t-shirt. Oh, cool. Okay, so they do sell it. Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe they do them. I want a Zem merchandise. I mean, like, you have the crystal that came with the Endwalker, but, like, I mean, also, like, a Zem merchandise gets weird, right? Because other than Vana, we don't, you know, like, who do you can't, like, you're just doing Warrior of Light merchandise at a certain point, unless you, like, explicitly, make it the, unless you make it like a Zem, like the individual we don't know, and they're not going to reveal that stuff on merch. If Miko becomes a Reaper, does that make it a Reaper? Yes. Yes, it does. Cool. I also may be doing, when EE3 comes out, we may go ahead and just skip straight to EE3 and switch over to that for a bit instead of finishing off EE1 and EE2. Depends on the timeline for it. But I wouldn't expect the absolute earliest we should possibly expect EE3, as far as I'm concerned, would be NA FanFest. We're looking at like 10 months, because they'll finish the English localization, they'll have the final checks on that, and then they'll go get it to the printers, and the logistics on that are such that, like, there's no, like, but it's very interesting. I really do wonder if, like, the reprint of 1 and 2 was about seeing interest. But one of the reasons it's interesting about that is because the reprints of 1 and 2 have no revisions, even to typos, which is fascinating. Any idea for Limit Break 3 with a Blitzball? I would base it off of one of, like, Waka's Limit Breaks, like one of his overdrives. You have to either somehow make a custom merch or do Derplander and Vana for merch. The latter are already showing this, yeah. They could represent Azem as one of those phantoms made by Emmett if they ever made the merchandise of them. Yeah, but how interesting is that really, you know? But yeah, I do think, Kira, that's a way to get around it. Yes, give it to me! Give it to me. Give it to me. Elio want. Elio need. Elio want E3. E3. Give me book. No new logo. Yeah, okay. There's no translations after that point. I can't wait for EE3 book clubs, but we have a lot to get through before then. Yeah, we do, Brian. We may just focus on getting through EE1 and then skipping over EE2 to get to EE3. Maybe. We'll see. I'm definitely, the second I get a copy of EE3, I'm just gonna live stream me reading through the whole thing. I may not show every page, obviously, because that, like, weird copyright stuff, but I'm definitely gonna read the entire thing, and, like, maybe even in, like, one stream. Would revealing the Azem mask, not the person themselves, break anything, or would it be a fine story? I don't think it would break anything. I would be against it. I think the more Azem is a mystery, the better. But I don't think it's impossible that we would one day see it. I think it definitely could happen. I would prefer not, at least not anytime soon. But I don't think it's impossible. Are they really doing a 14-hour stream? Yes. Yeah, it's all empty like the rest of Norvrant. I want I save Eorzean, all I got with this little lousy t-shirt merch. Same question for the glyph. Yeah, I think the glyph's a little different because it's so it like is. There's a way in which those are associated with the convocation role, but like, you know, we don't know the star signs as well. Yeah. He's working on it, but it's a big time suck, and it's coming along slowly. Is what I think what Oda said. Just live stream you reading, not out loud, just sitting in comfy armchair in a cheap robe and glasses of shit brandy. Yeah. Just like get a little fake fire, put it in the corner, and just be like, oh, that's lovely. Oh, so that's what's up with the naming conventions of the Mistel. No. She did what with her father? Okay, well, Vobert was a weird place. I don't know, man. What did Yukio? They can show Azem mask, Azem the seat spot, since I think every convocation position has its mask. Hachi, good to see you, glad to have you. Can they? Yes. What I'm saying is that the more you reveal, the less interesting Azem becomes. Like, Azem is better as an enigmatic figure, is my point. Can they? Absolutely. It's not a question of they can't. And yeah, you could absolutely argue, could they show Vana during her time on the seat of the convocation with the Azem mask? Totally. Like, you could definitely argue a bunch of reasons why they can, and even why they should. But if you ask my opinion, I would prefer the more enigmatic Azem can remain, the better. How does that work? How does what work? They're a 14-hour live stream? They host a 14-hour live stream. Basically with a bunch of different people who work on the team doing different stuff, and it's for, you know, and talking about different things. We'll generally watch that. Sounds very relaxing. Well, Demins, maybe that's a Patreon backing or reward or something, but I would stream that if I didn't think it would make us lose by about 200 subscribers. I guess I could go stream that on our Twitch. I mean, if people are interested. I'm surprised that one of the Abyssal scenes confirms that Azem is aware of our presence in the Unsundered world. Yeah, well, the thing that's interesting about that, Henry, is that it's kind of implied elsewhere. The ways, like, one, it was already told to us, not in Abyssos. It's implied to you. Remember, Azem told Themis, Elidibus, that his falling star would meet him. He knew we were going to arrive here. Azem was already pre-aware to an extent that we were coming. And also, there's some other lines from Vana that kind of imply that Azem may or may not have been somewhat aware of our presence as well. Oh yeah, I agree. Their goal is to leave Azem open-ended for high cannons. I like that idea. Yeah. Daryl, good to see you, glad to have you. I swear, Ethis used to do Fireside videos. They were suave. Dude, Ethis Fireside videos were suave. Before I ever did any lore content, I remember watching those. Honestly, I was inspired by those videos to try to do some, and then I realized, A, I have far too much energy to be that level of suave, but on top of that, I do not have a fireplace, and that is quite important to have a fireside chat with. That said, if I do ever get like a fake fireplace to put in the background, I absolutely will do suave readings, or try to anyways. But yes, he if you've never watched Ethis' old stuff, he is one of him and Moose and all those guys are the progenitors of people like me and Scribe and this kind of like second or third wave of lore creators. So long as they don't show any defining features of them, I think it should be okay. Yeah, I think that's a fair thing. I'm just like very cautious of like maintaining as much distance from revealing things about Azem as possible. Them revealing too much about Azem is something I'm scared of. People seem to love everything related to the Ancients, so I'm scared they will start to pander to that way too much. The thing I will say is that they've been pretty explicit about being worried about that as well and trying not to do that, Kira. So I feel we're in good hands, but I do understand the concern. I still think my Azem would be very amused that she was reincarnated as a cat. Gonna pop out now. Belated birthday party tomorrow. Considering my birthday was yesterday. Happy late birthday, Hydra. I'm sorry I didn't know. I'm really bad with birthdays. Yeah, already 2 days ago. Here since Saturday. Thanks so much for hanging around. I hope you have a good time. Are we sure Azem doesn't have limited foresight? We're not sure. No. It's possible they have limited foresight. It's possible that they have had information revealed to them at some point earlier on in their timeline. That allowed them to be aware of what the events to come. There's a lot. We don't know. We don't know what's up with Azem. Having a Zem ambiguous is better the way it doesn't conflict with any role-playing people out there in the characters. You know, okay, here's what I'll say. Totally agree on the role-playing thing because, you know, that does matter. A lot of players, that does matter. I do think it's more beyond that. Like I think headcanon in a broad context, right? Like, the warrior, who the Warrior of Light is, like, yes, Meteor, Derplander is a stand-in, but like who the Warrior of Light is, and it can be any of us, is an important idea, and a Zem is similar in that, you know, regard, right? That it is important that it can be any of us, and so I don't think it's just about roleplay. I think it's even just the idea that anyone could, you know, can be that wanderer. It's about, you know, the traits, not your gender, not your race, not your creed, not your color, you know. It's even a little weird that we've seen now Azima, unless Orianja's speculation about related names doesn't pan out. I mean, the thing is that there's, you know, Azim in, Azim in the Azim Steps. Like, the thing that's worth remembering is that there's multiple examples of names existing throughout time. I mean, the thing is that, the Azim Step and, you know, and the Nama, and, you know, Anama, are both like the Dawn and Dusk Mother, the Dawn and Dusk Worms. There's connections between them and Bahamut and Tiamat. You know, like so. I would suggest that it's more likely that the begetting of those names and their closeness is actually a byproduct of something more akin to people having echo memories of the individuals, and then those names circling through time and reoccurring in some fabric, rather than them being directly related. That is my personal impression as of now. I think that's what they're kind of getting at, but we'll see. Yeah, I hope they do their best to keep Azim as ambiguous as possible. I think they're pretty dead set on that. I think they like playing with it a little bit, you know, with like the grapes and stuff. But I think they are dead set on keeping it a very ambiguous thing, at least for the near future. I already have my own headcanon of what Will's Azem is. Yeah, I just want to hear more vague, amusing anecdotes about Azem, or jumping into active volcanoes to save grapes. Yeah, I'm happy to have those. Azim likes grapes. Is that really so bad to know? No. I'm a fan of like that. I'm a fan of that kind of information. I'm a fan of the way that he shows up they show up in the background of these short stories and stuff as an element, and their relationship. Like it's the negative space where Azim exists that we witness. The way his relationship to others, which is almost way better because of what the warrior represents, of what the traveler, the wanderer as an identity represents, right? And the way he connects all these people. So they connect all these people. So yeah. I may start wrapping up this. We're all assuming it was those grapes he was saving, right? The scrapes. Azim likes grapes. Is that a reference how the fan base loved the low poly grapes? No. It came out first. The Azim loves grapes came out in the short stories for in the Tales of the Shadow. It's Yeah. Don't worry, Kadu. I did that all the time. Won't Magni be disappointed if he learns about Azima that there's a Dawn mother rather than a Dawn father? There's still Nama for him though, maybe. Yeah. I missed the crystal grapes. Yeah, but if we do start wrapping up, I want to make sure if anyone has any questions or topic of conversation that they want to hit on before we head out, you know, maybe I'll give it another 12 minutes or so and wait until about 2 a.m. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, I wish we had gotten a little bit more on their rationale for some of like the quality of life, like some of the like gradation stuff. I feel like we didn't get enough about jobs in this, or about like some of their thought processes of that. I felt like they kind of wanted to go over. Tales of Loss and Fire and Grapes. Yeah. Who needs faith when you've got grapes? Mark, good to see you. Glad to have you. I'm gonna send a message real quick to.
次はどこで行きますか？次中央ランドシア。中央ランドシア。あ、なんかねワイプにゲームを出してくれっていう。あ、確かに。はい。ワイプでゲームお願いします。あ、トレーラーって公式 PV みたいなもの。トレーラーの説明をじゃあ一田さん一応皆さんにしてあげて。
I don't have to worry about that. Cool. Magni finding his Nama will be the biggest mind blow in this game for me. Honestly, I shit you not, one story I'm really excited to see is just more of Sicard and Emmanuel. I really hope there's more New World stuff for that. Ren, good to see you, glad to have you. Any exciting info? EE3! 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 If I chant like that, it comes faster. EE3! Encyclopedia Eorzean Volume 3, baby! What is this portion? This is currently devs talking about they are playing through gathering the Atma, the or they're working on gathering parts for the relic weapon, I believe. Basically, the live letter is over. We're gonna be wrapping up here because it's mostly gonna be a lot of other stuff. There's reasons to keep watching if you're interested in it, but most of the content is not really about the game dev in the same way, except for little things that we may find out. But because it's not translated, it's a pain to like keep trying to check. He's summoning a pirate. He's summoning a prime. If you start twerking, it'll come faster. Don't tempt me. Honestly, I think Sadu is a good fit. They fight like a married couple already, and only she can handle his little son status. I feel like the problem is Sadu is so battle sexual that, and also like, look, I ain't about to like push my life on others, but like, Sadu has some of the hardest poly pan energy I've seen in a Square Enix game. If they have to keep Azem vague because otherwise they'd have to specify his gender. Yeah, her gender. Yeah, his or her gender. Yep. That's definitely part of it. Imagine if E3 is written from the perspective... I mean, to be fair, they do already alter it based on whether... I mean, they do... You know, it is specified in that it is... You know, it adapts. So, I mean, maybe the model would adapt, right? If too different. But, you know. Imagine if E3 was written from the perspective of Living Way's Journal or someone from Norvrant. I mean, to be fair, like, they make jokes about Living Way's Journal having to do with, you know, being connected to, because with Naming Way, that the Living Way's Journal is connected to Encyclopedia Eorzean Volume 1. So that's not impossible, AC. Sadu and Serena for the win. Yeah, Sadu and Xenos? Maybe. She couldn't give him enough of a challenge, is the thing, I don't think. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Sadu, but... But yeah. Oh, I was not expecting them to drop E3 in this. I would have thought it would have been a bigger deal. But I guess honestly, this is probably the best place to drop it to make sure that the stream doesn't... It's so weird to me, though, how, like, unceremonious them dropping it was. Like, it wasn't, like, utterly unceremonious, but it was kind of unceremonious. And I guess, like, I'm just way too close to the lore aspect of this game, because this is, like... This is... huge. It's like all my name days have come at once. Yeah. Sadu and Hildebrand can keep up with various injuries. Yeah, but he's not that great of a fighter. I mean, it's not. Well, yeah. Maybe. I mean, Sadu and Godber, maybe like Sadu coming in for some fun with Godber and his wife. I know the patch just came out, but does anyone know when the next MSQ patch is coming? It would be 2 months from now, roughly. Where we'd be looking around December, effectively. Because it's every 4 months, and the 0.5 drops 2 months in. So if I may be wrong about that, someone can check my work, but if I'm not mistaken, that would mean... Because 2 months ago, we got... roughly around 2 months ago... Yeah, it'll be 2 months at 6.25, we got... patch point 6.2. So I would expect we'd be looking at December. It's been 2 months. Yeah, I'm right. Let's check. Here. 6.2 FF. It was August, right? It was like August 12th. August 20. No, August 23rd. I don't know why I was thinking August 12th, but August 23rd. Yeah. So if you look out 4 months from that, you're probably looking at the end of December. Would be probably what you're looking at. End of December, possibly beginning of January. Sadu and Majet and Magnai, they can both be inclined cells. Christmas is big in Japan. It's true. It's also big in America. My favorite thing, though, is going to Japan during Christmas and getting KFC, because KFC is also a very Christmas thing. I think it'll be the first or the second week of January. I don't think it'll be the second, because they're trying hard to stick towards 4 with maybe a couple of day span. So the thing is that if you make it the first week of January, that's still 2 weeks off of their like hardcore what they've been wanting to do. And if you go to you know, second week, you're approaching a month. An extra month. I would suspect it far more likely that you would see it right after Christmas, like sometime between the 26th and the 31st. They did put Colonel Sanders and Endwalker. Do they ever plan to rework Bahamut coils to make noise? Do they plan to? Not that we've seen. Do I fucking hope with a fiery passion that they will? Oh, you bet I do. So I don't think we've ever heard them like say distinctly that that's a likelihood. But here's the thing. This is why you should voice feedback. Like, I think we as a community should kind of unite around saying, hey, this is kind of really important. We should like coils needs to be kind of retooled for people to be able to do it. Now, the problem is do you retool the entirety of coils? Because then the problem is if you do that, you're effectively saying, hey, make an entire new raid tier while you also make the normal raid tiers. Because some of those fights, I guess you could simplify Nail, right? I guess you take Nail, and Nail as is Savage. And then you take the version before Nail, and then like you take a version of Nail and simplify that down. Yeah, I think they could do it. I think they should. And I really, really, really think they should. I think it's incredibly important that they do. It is effectively the capstone to 2.0. It's the capstone to 1.0 as well. It's just too important to not, and making it not only optional, but make it optional with no normal way for people who are like of a certain skill level to be able to engage with it is just genuinely problematic at this point. I mean, it was not that it wasn't before, but yeah. At least update the markers. Yeah, well, Darvin, I totally agree. Like, at the very least update the markers, but I think if they're going to update the markers at that point, go whole hog, right? Does anyone know what job Graha plays in the duty supports? I know he can be a paladin, but IDR the job. He can flex. So in duty support, if you're talking about in like Endwalker and stuff, he can play any job. Like his job is the ability to use magics, because as his time as the Exarch, he learned the basics of how to engage with these different things. So his job is all of them. Now we can if we check actually, I guess if we could just pull up the game. If someone wants to pull up the game, it should say it. Graha is Paladin, White Mage, and Black Mage. Yeah, like the actual jobs are those, yeah. Graha is an all-rounder. I haven't seen a single Boche de Null for Christmas. I want to try one eventually, aka U-Log. Oh. Potency buffs over the years have been made in potent fights jokes like Thoradin. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, the thing is also, like, the stat squish and stuff, like, adjusted a lot of that. The thing is that Thoradin was, you know, like, harder to an extent. But, like, part of why it was harder was also because when 60 was cap, you, like, had way more abilities you were managing and more stuff that you had to manage at that time. And I think the game, and yet, you know, and now that's been refined, so you have much fewer things that you have to manage to be optimal at 60. The other thing, so I don't think it's just about potency buffing. The other thing I would say is that the, I mean, like, it's Thoradin regular was just kind of never that hard. Maybe I don't know much about the decision-making process for devs when it comes to holidays. I mean, the thing is they put Endwalker, they were willing to put, like, Endwalker. I would say that it's unlikely it comes out on Christmas. I don't think it's unlikely that it comes out sometime between the 26th and 31st. I mean, if you look at, like, the date that they pushed Endwalker to, that, you know, that's same ballpark, really. And I wouldn't expect it to as a patch to come out early, so I wouldn't expect earlier than December 23rd. And I would definitely expect them to take the extra couple days. So my safe bet would be sometime between the 26th and the 31st. However, if you want to go check out Chris from Work to Game and Gaming Kind of, as well as Brian from Jim Prime, and want to check out their stuff, Chris has done some great work on, like, trying to, like, see the codified pattern between each expansion and all that, and he has a much better grip on all that than I do. I have an idea for ultimate armor rewards. Would they be something people would want? It's something I don't think is a good idea. I think if you're going to do ultimate rewards, I mean, like, one day they could be like, oh, we're going to do them instead. Like if they did like an Ultima something for like an ultimate for like Baja, like the or I don't even know what they would do. I mean, they could do it a couple different ways, right? They could do like the not Bajan Calamity, the Bajan Citadel, what the fuck was it called? The Bajan Incident or something like that. But like then you could do like, you know, Relic Judge Armor. I think it's a much better idea to just keep doing the Relic weapons as a consistent thing, and maybe if they ever introduce a different kind of content, consider that. They deleted Endwalker to add exploration dungeons Emmett had at the end of Endwalker. Yeah, so that wasn't the only reason, but that was one of them. Yes. So there was a lot of like quality of life checks and things they wanted to do for the Endwalker dungeon, including all the things that Emmett Silk says in the final after you defeat Meteon for the first time. Defeat her in the bed of flowers. My biggest tinfoil theory is the reason why Godbert is so OP is because he mastered Dynamis. I think it unlikely. However, he has a lot of emotional, raw power and heartfelt sincerity. So, you know, Yukio, I don't like. I think it's a wild theory. I'm not sure I buy it, but stranger things have happened, so I don't put it to bed just yet. Personally, I'm fine with the MSQ normal level bosses like Thornton or other equivalents base bosses being a joke for the sake of just the story mode, I guess. That's why there's sev diffs. I will say, I'm emphatically a proponent of, as someone who like has people in my life who like the normal fights for them. Hey! Soken! Soken's up in his white Elidibus primal or Ascian garb. But oh, we may get primals announcements. But I will say normal modes are really important because there are a lot of people who need the chance to be able to learn and get better at game, improve, and come to. I know they can be sometimes boring for the rest of us, but it's really easy to remember that what you think of as the baseline is actually probably well above the actual average. And so it's very important that other people have inroads so that they can get confident and get I know people who struggle with dungeons, The reason why Gobber is OP because he's the only person in the universe to realize he's in a video game. That's quite possibly true. Anyone think animate speech at the end of Endwalker is similar to Ansem Seeker of Darkness speech to Riku in KH3? I'm going to omit myself from saying anything about that for reasons. There are Manderville's wildness is expected, yeah. Ascian Overlord Ultimate Fight all 13 of the Overlords, including the Unsundered. You'd have to find a way to justify that, and I think you'd probably instead see something like that as a weird justification for, like, the, Endwalker fight, or, like, a Final Days fight, or, like, the final... Like, I don't know how they'll do the Endwalker Ultimate, because if they do, like, the story they're going to do for, like, Vana and Zodiark and Medion all in... The Endsinger all in one thing is gonna be fucking wild. Are you not a fan of KH3 like me too? I fucking hate KH3, and it is... God, I really hate KH3's story, and like, don't get me wrong, it's not like KH3 didn't happen in a vacuum without, step after step after misstep. The KH3 story fucking assassinates those characters. But this is not a KH3 channel. If you enjoy KH3, know that I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you enjoy it. I would much rather that I enjoy it. I would rather not have my umbrages. But boy, did I not like KH3's story, and did it break my heart. And did it feel like, for fuck's sake, Nomura, you stopped caring about your old games and instead wanted to make a different game, and you cannot let that go, so instead you're trying to make this something it didn't used to be. Did you like Remind? Remind made it worse. I thought Remind was going to make it better. Remind actively did a lot of things that just like kept doubling down on all the things I did not like. It broke your Kingdom Hearts. Well played, Atelier. Look, man, KHP gave us Yeetus Ventus, so I'm happy. I don't even know what that is, Yeetus Ventus. I mean, the main memes I can think of are like Zeta Flare and like, they had moments. It was a beautiful game. Its combat is like spammy in a way that it was not refined in a way that KH2 was, but like it's really fun. Like it's fun to spam it. Don't get me wrong. But its open world stuff was awesome to have that kind of flow and movement and stuff. Like there's things to like about the game. It's not like, oh, it's a garbage game, but that narrative just killed me, man. As someone who is an incredibly big Kingdom Hearts fan, and like and it did not happen in a vacuum. Dream Drop Distance also was like, I love Birth by Sleep in a lot of ways, but also Birth by Sleep started us on a trend of like, Kai, Unchained, whatever. Part of the problem is that story started becoming about how Nomura liked Xehanort more than he liked Sora and just wanted Xehanort to win. Fucking Xehanort gets forgiven at the end after all the shit he does, and not even repentant. He's not even being repentant would be one thing, but the fucker is just like caused so much pain and suffering and heartache, and was just like. But it's okay because being a strong man is more important. And then Ericus comes down and Tay's like, you know what, you're right. Now come to heaven with me. Fuck. Apparently EP announcement went out on Lodestone half an hour ago. Yeah, that's not surprising. KH2 is one of my favorite games of all time. I really love Kingdom Hearts 1. I really love Chains of Memory. I really love 2. There's a lot I fucking adore about Birth by Sleep as a seminal tragedy. But yeah. Issa! Yeetus Vanitas. Oh, okay. When Vanitas got yeeted by Sully, I didn't even realize that was a meme. AC, good to be glad to have you. I got sent here because the YouTube autoplay I came in KH3 rant. Sorry, AC, we've been grinding down, so someone got me started. I've been trying to not go on a Kingdom Hearts 3 rant. My apologies. Nomura also gave Xehanort his own game in Dark Road. Yeah, I mean, like, that only goes to further prove my point, right? Like, when Dark Road came out, it was just all but confirmed. But, yeah. E3, it's coming out. FanFest, we're going. I'm actually gonna see if I can try to go to all three. If you guys are going to FanFest, let's try to meet up. I promise, I will bring my triple triad board that I made that is functional because it has magnets embedded in it. And if you can beat me in triple triad, I will give you a reward. I'm not saying what it is yet.
皆様に育てていただいて、大変サウンドコンテンツの方も盛り上がりを見せまして、先日はついにバンドで仮メッセワンマンライブというなんかとんでもないで、今度年末ですね。年末は
It's fine. I only play KH2 and somehow I know the lore. Ain't that how it goes? Nomura also gave it. I don't like how inconsistent they are with everyone's ages in KH3. It's everywhere. Doesn't make sense. Like how old is Ventus and Aqua and Terra? I mean, they just effectively they didn't physically age. There's many. Look, if you're gonna be that granular about the problems in KH, boy, can I just give you a litany. You got the FF8 triple triad deck. I have whatever cards I've made. I've made Cactar, Tomberry, Horsefant, Gabi. Alpha. I've made others as well, but like I have like a decent size set that I've made, but I would have to go 3D. I need to go 3D print more of them to have everything. But yeah, okay, we're running about 10 minutes over what I was planning on. So I'm gonna start heading out. If you got final questions, say them now. I'm gonna take a drink for a second. I'm gonna give it about a minute, and if no one's got anything, we'll go ahead and start heading out. Yeah, Helios. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, honestly, that's how I feel too. Like, I stopped caring because at some point it's just like, you know. By the time you explain the lore of all KH, Kingdom Hearts 4 will finish development and release. Yeah. I also have every single Kingdom Hearts Funko that ever came out because I let myself collect something once, and I decided, fuck it, I'm collecting all the Kingdom Hearts Funko. And of course, now I'm like heartbroken over Kingdom Hearts 3, so I'm like, I want to get rid of these Funko. But also, I want to wait till Kingdom Hearts 4 when they'll sell for more. But I have like $1,000 of Kingdom Hearts Funko. I mean, to be fair, I paid like half of that for them, but it's like worth like $1,000. To everyone who enjoyed that last game, to everyone who enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 3, don't listen to me. Ignore me. Enjoy it and be glad you enjoy it and enjoy the shit out of it and be glad you do. And I hope you enjoy Kingdom Hearts 4. I'll probably still check out Kingdom Hearts 4. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 4. If Kingdom Hearts 4 may be interesting, at least it's like so departed at this point. It's so different. It'll just be something. Night, Elio. Night, Jade. Have a great night. I need to sleep. Go to sleep, Atelier. Any plans for Halloween? I didn't have any idea, but if you want to go message, maybe we should talk about that on the Discord. Maybe we should come up with a Halloween plan. I have my Eorzean cosplay. The person I hired just wasn't getting it done, so I finished it. I sewed it myself. I'm finishing up the accessories, and we're gonna do an Eorzean stream. Maybe we'll do the Eorzean stream on Halloween. That's not a bad idea. I also have another cosplay I'm working on in the far future, but let's just say it won't come into play until we get into Shadowbringers. For, you know, a certain hooded figure, as it were. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts 4 probably can be what Kingdom Hearts 2 was to 1, but hey, Hopium, I guess. I would say try to just go into Kingdom Hearts 4 with low expectations and just let it be its own thing at this point. Do you like my anime by chance? Do I like anime? That's a complicated question. Yes and no. Because I gotta go. I gotta go too. Watched all of Black Clover. Last question. I really like that show. Ren, we can talk about it later for sure. I haven't watched Black Clover in a long time. Holy shit, he's going to cosplay organization there today. Yep, definitely. I'm definitely doing. You caught me. I'm gonna just do Roxas, or actually Zemnis. You know, we'll just I'll go get some lightsaber blades. It'll be good. Can't wait for FanFest, man. Oh, Issa, I'm so fucking pumped. I'm gonna just spend Halloween laying face down on the floor until everyone is Dragoon Gus. It's all good. We both low on time. I have to work in the morning and the night. Yeah, Rin, go get some good sleep. You can always talk later. I'll always be around. Don't forget, Monday and Tuesday we have the MSQ replay that we're doing for Final Fantasy XIV. We are currently in the midst of finishing up the 3.3 in Heaven's Word, and we'll be continuing on. We're going to be going to the very end. On Wednesdays, new videos come out. On Thursdays, we have the Final Fantasy game replay, like all chronological replays. So currently we're in Final Fantasy 2. Me and Aniria are. On Fridays, we have Lore Book Club. On Saturdays, we have community live stream. If there's anything you want to get done in Final Fantasy XIV, and you do not have to be a regular person, but if you just want to come and get help with something, we do things like minions or Heaven on High or all sorts of weird stuff, like helping people get blue spells. Sunday, in theory, I'm supposed to take off. However, I never do. I instead work. But yeah, if you haven't, definitely go come check out our Discord. It's where you'll be alerted to a lot of that stuff. It's just a nice place to hang out and get talk 14, as well as 14 lore. Patreon if you want to support us, it goes a long way. You can get your name up in the little tablatures thing above my head. I think that. Oh, if you like written lore, check out our AsianArchives.com. You will find Iniri's lovely written lore pieces. Yeah, we'll do the Urianger pose in the end of 5.3. I will do it. Yes, I will do that. I will definitely do that. Yeah, you should definitely do an Uri 5.3 card pose when you cosplay. I will absolutely do that. I promise to. But yeah, I'm gonna head out then. This has been lovely, guys. Before I go, I have one more thing to do, which is yeah! And with that done, I've been Elio Forcheron. Have a lovely evening, morning, night, day, whatever it is, wherever you are. Cheers. Take those crystals away from